721. Lucy's strength. That's all I have to say, go back to your room first. Jude said lightly. From beginning to end, he never looked directly at Naruto next to Lucy. Perhaps, in his eyes, Naruto was just a new servant, or someone Lucy hired to carry things. Father, is that all you want to say? Lucy suddenly raised her head and looked at her father. Jude was stunned for a moment, and when he saw the indifferent and disdainful expression on his daughter's face, he was shocked. Do you have anything else to say? Or do you feel dissatisfied with such a marriage? Jude asked. Lucy suddenly waved her hand and smiled softly, with a mocking smile on the corner of her mouth. Father, I came back here today, not to hear you talk about these marriage issues, I just want to come back and express my decision and wishes. Please don't ignore my friend. When Jude heard the words, he turned his attention to Naruto, and then said as if suddenly realized, he is your friend. Is he someone you met in the guild? Yes. Jude sighed when he heard the words, and suddenly said to her earnestly, Lucy, you must know that you are the daughter of the Hatfilia family, and belong to a different world from the others. You must clearly recognize where you are. This will be of inseparable use for your future. When Naruto heard this, he was amused and amused. In his mouth, he actually became an inferior, other. Is this what the rich think? It's not that he doesn't know the world of the rich, but he is very disgusted by this kind of big boss who has been dazzled by the past and looks down on the commoners. What is the use of more money? In Naruto's view, power is everything. With power and money, it's just easy to get, but he himself has always been disdainful of getting these extraneous things. At this moment, Lucy suddenly let out a low laugh, and then shouted at her father, Enough. Father, please don't use your trick on my friend. He is the best of fairy tale. Strong magician. Don't care about money. I just want to introduce my friend. But your attitude makes me feel that there is no need to say anything to you. Now I will tell you the last word, make it clear. Lucy's voice carried an incomparable momentum, and each sentence fell into Jude's heart. His face could not help but be full of shock. Is this still the little girl who is submissive? Is this still the weak daughter who prays for love every time? Seeing such a strong Lucy, Jude couldn't help being stunned. Lucy glanced at Naruto, came to her father, and said to him coldly, Today, I will make it clear. I am the wizard of fairy tale. Everyone in the guild is my friend. Mine. Family. If you dare to attack fairy tale again, you will be the enemy of me and the entire guild. Tear. Lucy shredded the gorgeous long skirt from the middle with both hands and fell to the ground. She was wearing white underwear and said loudly, If you didn't do that kind of thing, maybe I could still be peaceful with you. Talk, but it's too late. You've hurt my comrade. What I need is neither money nor beautiful clothes. What I need is a place to recognize my personality. Meet someone who can recognize my personality. Fairy tale, it's warmer than in this house. Although it's a short time, I am very sad to leave the place where I used to live with my mother, but if my mother is still alive, I think she must encourage me. Ask me to do what I love. After Lucy finished speaking, she suddenly took Naruto's hand, turned around, and finally replied coldly, Goodbye, father. I will do what I love with my friends. Jude's eyes widened in anger, his face was full of disbelief. He couldn't help but think back to Lucy's mother, Layla. He was speechless for a long time, so that Lucy and Naruto left without reacting. And Lucy pulled Naruto with his mouth wide open and quickly walked out of the hall and out of the manor. Looking at Lucy who left without looking back, Naruto couldn't help but smile bitterly. Lucy, I never knew you could be so domineering. It's really impressive. When Lucy heard the words, she suddenly turned her head and looked at him seriously. Naruto, I will try my best to tolerate what my father wants me to do, but I can't despise my hard-earned friend. Especially you, accompany me. I was treated like this when I came to my house, I am sorry. She bent deeply towards Naruto, offering him the deepest apology. Naruto was startled, and quickly helped her up. A warm current flowed through her heart, and sometimes Lucy was simply touching. I'm fine, you don't have to do this, Lucy. I'm just here to accompany you this time. I thought I wanted to help you, but I didn't expect you to solve everything by yourself. I didn't expect you to do it. So capable, Naruto said with a smile. Being praised so much by him, Lucy immediately became embarrassed, her face slightly yuhi, and she said in a coquettish manner, I just told the truth. Oh, yes, I'm going to see my mother. Lucy suddenly said to Naruto. She returned to the manor, got servants and asked them to get a bunch of flowers, and put on her previous clothes again. Only then did Naruto and Naruto come to a tombstone in front of the manor. Here is her mother Layla's cemetery. Lucy held the flower beside the tombstone, closed her beautiful eyes and prayed softly. She folded her hands together, with a glittering tear in the corner of her eyes. The sun slanted on her body, and her blonde hair shone dazzlingly. Naruto couldn't help but stare at this beautiful picture. On the roof of the villa, at the window, Judah was looking at Lucy from a distance. He let out a sigh and was silent. 722. Lucy's questioning. After leaving Lucy's house, the two got on the train again, preparing to go back to the guild. Accompanied by Naruto along the way, Lucy also felt very at ease. This conversation with her father should be regarded as a break, and she expressed her inner desire. Since she was a child, she and her father had almost no feelings. Father is just a noun. For her, after her mother died, she was no longer happy. Now, after she said that to her father, she felt that her body and mind were liberated, and she felt that she could really do what she wanted to do without having to worry about her father's affairs. It's kind of selfish, but she really longs for that feeling of freedom and warmth. At this time, in the carriage, sitting next to Naruto, her mood became very relaxed. Finally, I can let go of the burden and oppression my father gave me and do what I like. Thank you, Naruto. Lucy suddenly thanked Naruto. Naruto was slightly puzzled. Why are you so polite all of a sudden? Lucy stuck out her tongue. If you hadn't come with me, maybe I wouldn't be able to make such a determination to tell my father everything clearly. Really, but I'm curious about that duke named Longwayu. What kind of guy is he? Why don't you like Lucy? Naruto asked. After all, he is also the young master of the big family. Even if he is not the type of Yushu Linfang, he must be a lot more shy than the commoners outside, right? When Lucy heard a trace of disgust on her face, she said helplessly, that guy is a wretched dwarf melon. Even if I marry a pig and a dog, I don't want to marry that kind of guy. Naruto mourned for the Duke of Longwayu in his heart. I didn't expect Lucy to have such a bad impression of that guy. Okay, let's not mention him, let's talk about what happened after the guild. You haven't done the quest for a long time, haven't you? If you don't do the quest again, you won't have any money to spend, Hatfield. If Leah's daughter, the eldest daughter, is reduced to the point where she has no money, it will really be a joke. Lucy heard this, she couldn't help but sighed. My current strength is too bad. Naruto, you know, if I do the task alone, I will definitely die miserably. You often ignore me, really yes. There was a hint of coquettishness in her tone, and Naruto couldn't help but smile slightly. Okay, it's my fault, I brought you into the guild but didn't take good care of your daughter. Humph, are you laughing at me? When Lucy heard this, she could not help but pretend to be angry and reached out to squeeze the flesh on his body. Naruto hurriedly grabbed her small hand, pinched it in his hand, thought about it, looked at her and said, why don't you do this, you and me team up. Add one more Elsa, and we will be in the future. There is a new group in the guild. With our 2S rank mages leading you, I believe you will become powerful soon. Quote. Lucy's palm was held by him, and she felt the temperature in his palm. Her jade face was slightly dizzy with Yuhi's dizziness, and when her heart was beating, she pretended to be calm and said, yes, but I just don't know about Ailu. Will Sha agree, and if she doesn't agree, just the two of us can do it. In fact, how much she wanted to have only herself and him to do the task together. For her, that was the perfect life. Unfortunately, Naruto said with a smile. That's not good. Originally I wanted to form a team with Urza first. You are a newcomer we want to bring. When you grow up, you can form a team by yourself. Oh. Quote. Lucy's face darkened, and she immediately withdrew her hand from his palm. What's wrong? Naruto couldn't help asking when she saw her unhappy look. Lucy muttered sullenly. So I'm just an accessory to you guys. When Naruto heard this, he was stunned for a moment, and then he burst into laughter. It turns out that Lucy is jealous. He hurriedly put his arms around her shoulders and said with a smile, Okay, I'm joking with you. I don't mean to look down on you. Lucy pouted and continued to ignore him. Seeing her angry look, Naruto felt that she was innocent and cute, so he suddenly put her whole body in his arms, and said gently beside her ear, Lucy, no matter what happens in the future, I will be here. You're there to help. You don't have to be unhappy by yourself again. Lucy's body trembled slightly, leaning against Naruto's arms. She heard Naruto's gentle words in her ear, and a burst of emotion rose in her heart. Naruto, you won't leave me, will you? Lucy whispered in his arms. Of course not. Naruto nodded. The next moment, she suddenly got out of Naruto's arms, looked at Naruto seriously and said, You lied. Huh. Naruto couldn't help stunned. I know very well about you and Urza. You will definitely be with her in the future, right? Lucy hummed. Ah. Naruto realized then, it turned out that Lucy was concerned about Urza's affairs. It's no wonder that she and Urza were recognized childhood sweethearts in the guild, and Lucy said so. Not unreasonable. However, in his heart, Elsa, Lucy, and Mirage are all very cute girls. It's impossible for him to give up any of them, right? However, Lucy doesn't seem to have reached that stage yet. She was always at odds with Naruto, not expressing anything clearly. However, now that she asked, Naruto already understood her intentions. He smiled slightly, could not help grabbing Lucy's little hand, and said softly, Lucy, who stipulated that I can only be with Urza what? Even with her, I can't possibly let you go, right? Huh. Lucy couldn't help being surprised when she heard this. What does this mean? Does he want to get both himself and Urza? What kind of thought is this? This is too nasty, isn't it? Hey, Naruto, I take back what I just said now. You really are a big bastard. I should have known that I couldn't expect anything from you. Damn it. 723. Don't be angry. Along the way, Lucy has always maintained this state of anger towards Naruto, puffed up. In this regard, Naruto really has nothing to do. After all, Lucy is sometimes stubborn and unapproachable, especially after she has a problem with her own feelings. It seems that she deliberately ignores herself. Sure enough, it's hard for a young lady like Lucy, who came from a big family, to accept that kind of harem's point of view, right? In this way, one or two took the train all the way to the city where Fairy Tail was. When I got out of the car, I realized that it was very late. The two of them hadn't even eaten anything yet. At Naruto's suggestion, they went to a nearby store to buy something to eat. They were going to sit down and eat, but due to the exposure she was very unhappy, so he decided to eat while walking, since he was almost home anyway. After Naruto sent her to her rented home, he also left in a hurry to go home. But not long after Naruto left, a figure suddenly appeared near Lucy's house. The tall figure came to the roof of the room where Lucy was, smiled coldly, and suddenly jumped in through the window. At this time, Lucy had just entered the house and was about to take off her clothes and take a shower. When she suddenly saw a figure jumping in from the window, she was startled and screamed. You, who are you? Lucy looked at the figure wrapped in a windbreaker in front of her with a look of horror, and stepped back to the table next to her. There, her Protoss key is lying there. Judging from the figure of this guy, it should be a man. In the middle of the night, Lucy felt very insecure. At this time, she couldn't help calling Naruto in her heart. Although this guy is a big pervert and said such annoying things before, it is still very safe in the end. When he is around, she doesn't have to worry about anything. Afraid. Now when she was alone facing this mysterious shadow, she felt terror in her heart. At this moment, the shadow suddenly lifted the windbreaker covering his body, revealing his evil-looking face. President Joseph. The moment she saw this person, Lucy's mood fell to the bottom, and she was actually a president-level figure of the Ghost's ruler. He is a 10th-level powerhouse. Although he was deprived of the title of Holy Ten, his strength is still there. His own celestial magic was really nothing in front of him at this time. But why is this guy here? Could it be that his father had regretted it and wanted to arrest him and go back? This should not be possible. Cold sweat broke out on Lucy's pretty face. But as a magician, she still calmly said to Joseph, "President Joseph, what do you mean by suddenly breaking into my house now? I'm going to take a shower now, please don't disturb. What's going on tomorrow? Say it again." Joseph seems to be getting older. These days, the guild was defeated by Naruto alone, and even he himself was defeated in an instant. He couldn't understand why that guy had such a strong strength, which is simply intolerable. Moreover, his guild was dissolved because of this, and the title of Holy Ten became a joke. All this is thanks to that little devil. Damn. About it, the more angry he became. Joseph's face could not help contorting. He suddenly approached Lucy's body and called to her with a terrifying tone, "I'm no longer the president. Do you know why all this is?" Lucy was startled, but she took a step back and scolded loudly, "If you hadn't started the guild war first, none of this would have happened." "Wrong," Joseph shouted, "it's all because of you and that kid. This is simply your own fault." Lucy argued loudly. At this moment, she couldn't help but feel scared. Joseph looked a little hysterical. He was a Saint 10-level powerhouse. Your current situation is very dangerous. Really unlucky. Why did this guy find him? You are the target of our mission. If you didn't cooperate, we would never have done this. As for that kid, I must kill him. Joseph suddenly roared. Now I'll take you back. All right. Torture you. No matter what daughter of Hatfilia you are. You have to pay the price for the dissolution of our guild. Hey, you lunatic. This is your own business. The mission failed and the guild was disbanded. How can you blame me? Hurry up and get out of me. Lucy scolded, but the drums are beating in his heart. This guy seems really crazy. Does he actually want to torture himself? Naruto, where are you? Come and save me. At this moment, Lucy finally realized the importance of Naruto. She really shouldn't be in trouble with him, or else she would still be eating with Naruto at this time. Although Joseph has always been a cautious guy, but now even the guild has been disbanded, and the title of Holy Ten has been deprived. Under such a double blow, his cautiousness has completely disappeared, replaced by that kind of thinking. To be crazy for revenge. Right, he wants revenge. Revenge on Fairy Tail, revenge on Naruto. And just now, he saw Naruto and Lucy walking together. He guessed that Lucy must be a very important person to Naruto. The fact that the blood was dripping told Naruto, that guy's expression must be very exciting, right? Thinking like this, he took advantage of Naruto's departure and suddenly came to Lucy's house, ready to implement his plan. But, in the end, all this could not be carried out in time, because just as Joseph was about to pounce and grab Lucy, a cold voice sounded from outside the window. "Mr. Robber who broke into the house in the middle of the night, are you looking for death?" The voice fell, and a surprised expression suddenly appeared on Lucy's face. It's Naruto. That's right, Naruto. He didn't leave. He's still here. He's here to save himself. At this moment, Lucy felt like she had fallen into heaven. Naruto's figure flashed, and he flashed into the house directly from the window. Seeing that Lucy had just taken off her coat and was about to take a bath, he saw her, a weak girl, facing a strong man of the 10th level. He blamed himself slightly. His face there was a flash of happiness. If it wasn't for the fact that I had set up a perception barrier when Lucy was attacked by the wind element messenger Alia, I am afraid that Joseph would not have come to sneak attack now. Fortunately, he caught up in time. Uzumaki Naruto. And the moment Joseph saw Naruto, a trace of anger and fear flashed on his face, mixed with unwilling and complicated expressions. He turned around and stared at Naruto, as if he was going to swallow him alive. Naruto stood there indifferently, the salute on his body hadn't been put back home, and he returned here when he sensed the movement of the enchantment. At this time, Joseph's eyes made him sneer with disdain. Do you want to take revenge in this way when you lose the battle? You are really despicable, Joseph. Damn, I hate your victorious attitude the most. Let me die. At this time, Joseph seemed to have really lost his mind. He seemed to have forgotten the strength gap between himself and Naruto, and he rushed straight towards Naruto, and the magic power that belonged to the holy 10th level all over his body also dissipated frantically. 724. Self-destruct. The magic power of the 10th level will cause changes in the world after it is really unfolded. At this time, the situation is like this. The sky outside Lucis' house is surging, lightning is thundering, and the wizards in the whole city feel this. A mighty force. The magicians who were sleeping were almost all awakened. What's going on? This magic power belongs to that guy Joseph. Makarov murmured solemnly after waking up. Did someone fight him? This guy is still in the city. Quote. This ominous and evil magic is Joseph's. That direction, is it Lucis' house? Urza, who was in the dormitory, also woke up. She didn't even have time to put on clothes, she just wore pajamas and went straight to the house. He got up from the bed and rushed out of the dormitory door. At this time, in Lucis' room, Naruto caught Joseph's fist with one hand, squeezed him tightly in his hand, and let his magic power skyrocket, but he still looked calm. I will not spare you this kind of stupid behavior of courting death. There was a murderous aura in his tone, which made Lucy tremble. It's so scary. Naruto, is he really angry? This murderous aura doesn't look like a human. Lucis' legs were so frightened that she sat down on the sofa, muttering to himself. Naruto has experienced 2 worlds, and he has killed a lot of people. He has experienced countless battles, big and small. How can the murderousness of his body be comparable to people in this world? At this time, even Joseph was frightened by Naruto's murderous aura. Do you want to kill me? If you kill me, the council won't let you go. Joseph felt guilty. Originally, he wanted to seek revenge from Naruto, but he felt Naruto's power once again. It was only when he realized that he would never be able to defeat him, and even with the most despicable means, he would not be able to damage him. Naruto looked cold, squeezed Joseph's fist and pulled him in front of him. And the palm of his other hand suddenly spread out, and a white light suddenly flashed in the palm of his hand. The light is soft, but it has an unparalleled danger. This is Jinten particle style. A trick that can smash all matter into molecules. Naruto has never dared to use this trick, because once it is used, it is a killing trick. If it is not necessary, he will not use it easily, but this time, Joseph's sneak attack on Lucy has already touched him. Bottom line. Although Lucy is not his woman, Naruto has long regarded her as his own forbidden woman, but he will never let her go if someone wants to hurt her. What kind of magic is this? Aren't you the Ice Dragon Slayer magician? Joseph had already felt the unusualness of the white light ball in Naruto's hand, and he asked with a trembling voice. Naruto said coldly, don't you know that besides ice magic, I also have other magics? Don't say you have never investigated me. Now you should pay for your stupidity. Joseph was trembling all over, and now he could clearly feel the monstrous killing intent of Naruto, as if he was about to drown himself. What kind of feeling was this? How can a young man who is not even 20 years old have such a strong murderous aura? Damn. Anyway, I'm also one of the Holy 10. Even if I can't defeat you, I'll die with you. Joseph was a long time after all. He finally screamed wildly. Magic self-destruction. This is a stunt that ignites all his holy 10th level magic power and makes it explode in an instant. At the last moment, it is a move that kills both the enemy and the enemy. Lucy was shocked. The battle of the 10th level can already cause changes in the world. If it blew up, wouldn't the entire city be destroyed? Naruto, be sure to stop him. She couldn't help shouting anxiously. Naruto, on the other hand, had an indifferent expression. Seeing Joseph's body suddenly swelled up, his eyes were full of bloodshot and crazy expressions, he instead loosened his fist, followed by Jinten particle style in the other hand. It suddenly turned into a square barrier, enclosing Joseph's entire body. Then, Naruto slammed his hands together, and the square barrier suddenly shrank. At the same time, Joseph inside the barrier also exploded with a bang, and an extremely dense evil magic burst out. At this critical moment, Naruto suddenly pressed his hands on the dense mass of magic. Absorb. At the moment of the thought, Naruto began to madly absorb this energy. With his physique capable of absorbing natural magic power, he directly absorbed this huge amount of energy into his body. However, as a 10th level magician, Joseph could not defeat Naruto, but the power generated by his huge magical power was enough to pose a threat to Naruto. If Naruto was the only one here, he could have escaped safely, but this is at Lucis' house. This is in the city. The crazy energy spread out, and a violent whirlwind of energy spread from Naruto's hands. The sofa, chair, table, and various furniture in Lucis' living room were blown away one after another, and crashed against the wall. There were even cracks on the floor and walls. This energy, although Naruto has been struggling to absorb and control it, a small part of it escapes is enough to destroy this fragile building. It's over. Seeing the energy in Naruto's hands getting stronger and stronger, Lucy couldn't help but have thoughts of despair in her heart. Really going to die here? I didn't expect that when I was free and liberated, I didn't have to take care of everything at home, and when I was about to make a big fight, did I encounter such a tragic thing? However, being able to die with Naruto is the only consolation, right? Lucy's body was blown out by this strong energy whirlwind, and hit the wall with a bang. Her body was shocked, and she lost consciousness instantly. 725. The seal is weakened. When Lucy woke up, she found herself in a warm embrace. Lucy, are you all right? Naruto's voice sounded. She was stunned for a moment, a little confused, and then asked in surprise, Naruto. Are we all dead? Didn't that guy Joseph blew himself up? We're not dead yet. That guy's self-exploding energy has been stopped, and everything is fine now. Naruto helped her up and looked at the mess around him. The house was almost on the verge of collapsing. He gave a wry smile. I really didn't expect that guy would be so crazy that he would blow himself up at all costs. As soon as he said this, Naruto suddenly groaned and couldn't help frowning. Aware of his strangeness, Lucy hurriedly grabbed his arm and asked, "What's the matter with you?" It turns out that although Naruto just used Jinten particle style to offset part of Joseph's energy, but because of the energy that emerged after Joseph's self-destruction, even Naruto's Jinten particle style couldn't completely complete it for a while. Offset, at this critical moment, he can only expand his absorption ability and inhale this pure energy into his body. However, this is not without its dangers, and it is not that the more you absorb, the better. Although the energy in Naruto's body has reached the point where it can be fused with each other, the total capacity in his body is still limited. So much energy entering the body will inevitably have an impact on the body. The most serious thing is that under this kind of impact, it is not Naruto's body that is damaged the most, but the seals in Naruto's body that have been suppressing 10 tails. While forcibly absorbing this energy should break away part of the seal that Naruto finally set. 10 tails, roaring in his body. At this moment, Naruto felt that he could no longer restrain the power of 10 tails surging up from his body. This is... Naruto suddenly shuddered. The next moment, an evil intent suddenly surged up. Instantly rushed into Naruto's mind. 10 tails that have been suppressed for a long time, and it is unexpected to burst out at this moment. Naruto, what's the matter with you? Lucy looked up, but saw an evil orangutan Yuhi radiating from his originally blue pupils. Lucy, hurry up, Naruto suddenly growled hoarsely. Lucy was startled. She had never heard Naruto's voice so deep, so full of evil. It seemed that he came out of Hell King Kun. The breath on his body became no longer peaceful. On the contrary, there is a special atmosphere that makes people unable to see clearly. Let's go. Can you hear me? Naruto saw that she was still beside him, wearing only underwear, and a strong bath of fire shot out of his eyes. Hateful. What is the Ten Tails guy doing? Why bother yourself in this direction? Naruto strongly resisted him in his heart. Maybe it was because the 10 tails had been sealed for too long before. At this time, the consciousness of 10 tails broke through the seal and directly interfered with Naruto's consciousness. It was so strong. Let Naruto be caught off guard. Naruto was struggling with 10 tails consciousness, but due to 10 tails influence, his hands and feet had begun to become disobedient. He suddenly pinched Lucy's bare, exposed white shoulders, and the temperature of her big hands was even a little hot. As soon as he touched the cold, smooth skin on Lucy's body, he finally couldn't control his original desire, and suddenly pressed towards her delicate body. What? Lucy exclaimed, watching Naruto push herself to the ground with an incredible look on her face, and then his whole body was pressed up. Naruto, what are you doing? What are you doing? Lucy struggled vigorously, her jade arms trying to push him away. However, all this was in vain. Naruto's power was amazing. How could a girl like Lucy break free? Moreover, Naruto didn't say a word. His eyes were open to Yuhi, and his mouth was breathing heavily. In this strange situation, although Lucy was pressed down and panicked, she had already noticed his unusualness. Naruto, what happened? Why does it seem like he is possessed? However, she didn't have time to think about it, and the next moment she heard a stinging sound of shredding clothes, and the strip of cloth covering Lucy's chest was torn apart violently. Immediately, a large expanse of white snow poured into Naruto's sight, making his eyes even more chimpanzee Yuhi. What? A scream, Lucy bit her silver kiba tightly, and a painful tear flowed out of the corner of her eyes. In the space of consciousness, Naruto was confused. He saw the scene in front of him, and the entire space was filled with blood. At the end of the blood, there was 10 tails, grinning face. Ha 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 ha, I'm finally out. Uzumaki Naruto, today is your deadline. 10 tails laughed and waved his 10 huge tails behind him. In the consciousness space, the wind is surging. Naruto roared at him, what are you doing? Even if you want to interfere with my body, you don't have to do that to Lucy, right? He was not unconscious before, maintaining the only trace of sobriety. He saw everything, saw himself push Lucy to the ground, and forcibly entered her body. He is very angry. All of this is the fault of the bastard 10 tails. Ha ha ha, it's ridiculous. I'm just helping you according to what you want the most. It's all just your own desires. How dare you blame me? 10 tails haha laughed. I don't have that kind of desire. Even if I did, I would never do such a forceful thing to Lucy. Hearing 10 tails words, Naruto couldn't help but argue. Hey, say what you want. I'm going to take over your body anyway. I'll do whatever I want next. This world will be mine. An incomparably powerful energy suddenly emerged from 10 tails body. If Joseph's magic power can induce changes in the world, then 10 tails spiritual power is enough to devour Naruto's power. After the seal's effectiveness has been greatly reduced, what are you using to fight against me? Ah ha ha. 726. Kina's help. At this moment, Naruto only felt the power that he had always felt powerful. In front of the monstrous situation of 10 tails, it was simply not worth mentioning. Especially the 10-year-old Kamui pressure of 10 tails. After the suppression effect of the sealing force has been greatly reduced, it has already firmly suppressed Naruto in turn. This is Naruto's biggest crisis. It is no less dangerous than the one that was at the time of the battle with the water dragon. His face was sinking like water, and the thoughts in his mind turned sharply, but this was in the space of consciousness, and it was entirely based on the strength of spiritual power. Even if this space of consciousness belonged to his home field, 10 tails had already fully adapted to this space. He does not have any advantages. On the contrary, at the moment when his spiritual power suppresses him, his situation has become extremely difficult. Do you really want to be taken over by this guy? Naruto is full of unwillingness. His ideal has not been realized. How can he be defeated by the monster in his body in such a place? Moreover, if this guy controls his body, what will happen to Lucy, Urza, Mirage and the others outside? I will never let you succeed. Naruto suddenly roared, and all the power he had built for this world to the present came out of him. Wind, fire, water, earth, thunder, the natural magic power of the 5 attributes gathered together to form an incomparably huge energy. Ha ha ha, no matter how strong your strength is, I can control more energy than you. Ten Tails laughed wildly, and the 10 tails behind him swayed wildly. A black sphere with a body several times larger appeared, suspended above his head out of thin air. This power is strong enough to cover up the aura emanating from Naruto. I will use this blow to destroy you in an instant. A drop of cold sweat broke out on Naruto's forehead. This black-tailed beast bomb is too big. This is probably the strongest force that 10 tails can condense so far, right? Unfortunately, if I could use space ninjutsu now, I would definitely be afraid even against 10 tails, but even though the magic power in my body has been transformed into each other many times, it still cannot become a power suitable for using space ninjutsu. Deal with 10 tails without space ninjutsu. Is it really going to be destroyed? Seeing the overwhelming aura that the tailed beast bomb exudes, Naruto couldn't help sighing in his heart. If he protected himself with the strength of his entire body, he might be able to resist it, but after that, you can only let 10 tails slaughter yourself. How exactly? How to do? At this moment, Naruto will usher in the biggest challenge. Suddenly, he felt a cold jade hand behind him on his shoulder, as if emitting a soft light. This is Uzumaki Kina. Naruto turned his head in surprise, and what he saw was Kinai's pretty face with a warm smile. Naruto, you didn't ask me to help you last time, but this time, I have to help you. Kinai smiled slightly. If you hadn't sealed 10 tails, maybe I'd already perished with him. Now let me do the last thing for you. Chennai put both hands on Naruto's shoulders, a pure chakra into Naruto's body. Naruto was shocked. And 10 tails couldn't help being shocked and furious after seeing Chennai's appearance. You stinky woman. Are you getting in my way again? Chennai smiled gently, watching 10 tails yelling. Her face was just calm, and she said lightly, 10 tails, during my quiet time, I didn't have nothing. Oh, I am also silently accumulating power to convert the magic of this world into chakra. Now, this chakra is quite huge. Hee, just to deal with you now. Naruto was also greatly surprised when he heard it. He didn't expect that Kina had been absorbing and transforming magic power into chakra. In this way, there were 3 kinds of spiritual powers in his body that were competing for the magic power resources he had absorbed from the outside world. However, Naruto is very happy now. Is this a desperate situation? Chennai is so smart. 10 tails only cares about suppressing his own spiritual power, not allowing himself to convert his magic power into chakra, but he never thought of the power of Chennai that has been ignored all the time. Damn, both of you guys disappear for me. 10 tails realized that something was wrong at this time, and hurriedly threw the huge-tailed beast bomb at Naruto and the 2 of them. Naruto was overjoyed when he felt the gigantic chakra rushing over from Chennai's body, and he found that he could control this power very quickly. Thank you so much. Naruto laughed sincerely, raised his head, he looked at the tailed beast bomb launched by 10 tails, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. It's been a long time since I used the power of space. Naruto murmured. The next moment, his hands suddenly formed a familiar seal, and an invisible barrier suddenly appeared in the space in front of him. An instant, the huge-tailed beast bomb was stopped in front of him. Naruto held the posture of hand seal with both hands, and the chakra, which was passed down from Kinai, poured out of his body. The space suddenly dented, and the huge-tailed beast bomb suddenly disappeared in front of Naruto. Successful transfer. Kina smiled. The next moment, on the top of Ten Tails' head, the huge-tailed beast bomb suddenly descended on him. Boom! The power of the tailed beast bomb exploded on him, and a frenzy of energy was immediately set off, and the entire consciousness space trembled. Naruto and Kina looked at each other with knowing smiles on their faces. Space ninjutsu, the technique of defeating the strong with the weak. This time, Ten Tails will probably be very hurt. Chennai smiled. Naruto nodded, but said with a wry smile, but chakra is also consumed a lot. You can use it, I still have it. Today we must work together to completely destroy this guy. Chennai vowed. In the future, things like that girl outside will never happen again. 727. Self-denial for others. Yeah, Naruto nodded. Thank you for being there. The decision I made was the right one. Sealing herself and Ten Tails together has preserved Chennai's power. Now, her power has given herself a crucial counterattack. Ah ah ah. Suddenly, Ten Tails screamed in pain and madness in the space, which was deafening, and the entire space trembled in this sound. It hurts. It hurts. I must kill you guys. Ten Tails roared and struggled out of the whirlwind of energy. His body was already riddled with holes. Naruto found that Ten Tails' aura was much weaker at this time. The tailed beast bomb just now must have consumed most of his power. This is an absolutely rare opportunity. Naruto turned to look at Kunai, and the two nodded. The next moment, a golden chain suddenly appeared from Naruto's body. Instantly wraps the entire Ten Tails body. Is it a seal again? Ten Tails looked down at the chain that fell on him, and found that he couldn't move any longer. But immediately he showed a sarcastic look. Naruto, only sealing can't beat me. Don't you understand this truth after all these years? Even if you seal me again, I will still break through. At that time, it's your real end. Snort. Naruto sneered disdainfully and suddenly said, Ten Tails, do you think I haven't done anything all these years? Then you are so wrong. What? Ten Tails was startled when he heard this. I'm tired of you playing ghosts in my body, and now I'm going to use my method to get you out of my body. Naruto swiped his hands in front of him, and a special rune shot out from his fingertips, landing on Ten Tails one after another. Ten Tails was firmly restrained by the chain, completely unable to move, and could only watch the rune drawn by Naruto fall on his body. Naruto stroked the runes and smiled. These runes can make your mental power firmly bound to my chakra. Of course, these are only valid for you. But, you can't control these chakras. Carrot. As there are more and more runes on Naruto's fingertips, Naruto's chakra is also flowing frantically, because Ten Tails' mental power is too powerful, it needs to be completely bound, and there must be enough chakra. Fortunately, Chennai has accumulated enough chakra during this period. But despite this, Naruto still felt that chakra was not enough. Seeing the increasingly weak expression on Chennai's face, Naruto was slightly anxious. Almost there. It's just the last bit. When the last rune on Naruto's fingertips landed on Ten Tails, the figure of Kunai behind him was getting thinner and lighter, but her face was full of a reassuring smile. Congeal. Naruto gently clapped his hands together, and in the next moment, Ten Tails was radiant. The art of Hiraishin. This is an attempt to cross consciousness and reality. Ten Tails, I will make you disappear from my consciousness. Naruto shouted. And the next moment, there was a flash of light, a bang, the whole Ten Tails disappeared in front of me. It worked. The consciousness of Ten Tails and the chakra given by Chennai are bound and transferred to the outside world. Then, the chakra will be dispersed by the power of this world and automatically converted into magic power, while Ten Tails' consciousness will be transferred to the outside world together. Will also be unable to gather any strength because there is no body. Become a lonely soul between heaven and earth. This is thanks to Chennai's power. Without this huge chakra that Chennai has painstakingly gathered, he would not be able to deal with Ten Tails at all. The strength of Ten Tails' spiritual power has always plagued Naruto. Naruto wanted to use his master, magic and ninjutsu to destroy his spiritual power when he was strong enough. But before this time, the 10 Tails had already broken through the seal and completely took the initiative and the upper hand. As a result, Naruto's original plan was disrupted, everything that was originally prepared was meaningless, and even fell into a desperate situation. And that rune is what Naruto intends to use to kill both 10 Tails and 10 Tails, locking his spiritual power and his own chakra firmly. In order to eliminate this chakra as a method, 10 Tails, chakra is destroyed. Power is also destroyed, but this method can only be used if the chakra is strong enough, or even more than 10 Tails. Now, the chakra that Chennai has gathered over the years, has just played this role. Moreover, she has no life, just a chakra, so there is no limit to the amount. She, who is silent in the depths of Naruto's body, can absorb and transform chakra endlessly. This chakra, combined with Naruto's magical power, was able to drive 10 Tails out of his body so easily, which was considered a great luck. This is the luck that Chennai gave her. At the moment when 10 Tails left the consciousness space, Naruto relaxed his whole body. He felt as if his spirit had entered another realm, and he became immortal. The masterless spiritual energy escaping from Tails is being absorbed by him little by little. But suddenly, he noticed the abnormality behind him, and he felt that the jade hand of Chennai on his shoulders became lighter and lighter, as if it had become weightless. He turned his head suddenly and looked at Chennai. "What's wrong with you?" "Your body." He reached out to grab Chennai, but found that her body was exuding a faint light, and his hands were directly go through her and grab an empty space. This is... Naruto suddenly realized that something was wrong. This was a sign that her chakra was being consumed too much and was about to disappear. At this moment, Naruto was anxious. "You can't just disappear like this," Naruto shouted as he looked at Kina, who was slowly rising into the air. Tears suddenly flowed from his eyes. He had never cried once in a long time, but at this time, he did. These are tears of remorse, tears of powerlessness. Kinai, the one who helped him eliminate 10 Tails, has always been silently helping himself in his own body, selfless devotion, which Naruto has silently admired her in his heart. She is like light. No matter how many worlds Naruto has experienced, she will leave Naruto a peaceful paradise in his heart. In Naruto's mind, he couldn't help but think of the feeling of lying on the green grass with her. The scene of tranquility and no noise was like paradise. Now watching Kina rising up into the air little by little, Naruto is out of reach. In his heart, he couldn't help hating his own powerlessness, no matter how strong he was. But there is still a stronger existence in this world. The battle with 10 Tails was not so much a lack of strength, but a lack of will. If his beliefs can be more tenacious, even if his mental strength is not as good as 10 Tails, he can still have the ability to fight in the final battle. Facing Naruto's tears, Kinai's face showed infinite tenderness. She looked at Naruto and said, "I have long since died. I have always been in your body, watching you grow, watching you go through so many things. I'm already very satisfied, and now I can do this last thing for you. I think I'm really worth it. Naruto, I believe you will always be the strongest. Live hard. Don't make those girls sad." Kina smiled. The smile on her face was like the sun, shining brightly. P.S. You said, will Chennai disappear? 728. Sorry, Lucy. Kinai's body finally turned into a little light and dissipated in front of Naruto, and Naruto stood blankly. Really? Disappeared? No, this is absolutely impossible. Naruto shouted up to the sky, with incomparable sadness and unwillingness in his voice. Chennai disappeared in order to help herself. Although she had already died, it was just a chakra, but since then during the years she was in her own body, Naruto had already regarded her as a living person with flesh and blood. Come back soon. Kina, even if your 1010 is peeping inside me, even if your 1010 is nagging in my ear, I won't mind anymore, as long as you come back and stay by my side. At least that way, when I don't stop wandering plane journey, we'll no longer be lonely. Naruto muttered to himself. At this moment, a ray of light suddenly flashed in front of him, and Naruto suddenly opened his eyes wide, staring blankly at the person in front of him. It is Uzumaki Kina. Kinai, you're not dead. Naruto exclaimed suddenly, who didn't expect Kinai to appear in front of him again. Really, Naruto, didn't I say I was already dead? Seeing the tears on Naruto's face, Kinai gently stretched out her jade hand and wiped it for him, her face still the same tenderness. Seeing his stunned look, Kinai burst out laughing. Naruto, actually I don't know why it will appear again. Originally my mental energy and chakra have been used up, but I didn't expect, and then I became conscious again, and it seems that the feeling of the energy body is different from the original energy body. So, you won't disappear now, Naruto said in surprise. He didn't care why Kina appeared again, as long as she stood in front of him alive now. It was enough, the others things, he doesn't want to worry about it anymore. Chennai nodded, and then frowned again. However, I feel so weak now, I have to sleep for a while. I don't know how long I won't be able to come out. Hey, you bastard, why are you crying suddenly? When you get up, this is very bad for your image. Naruto's tears had dried up, and he realized that he had lost his way now. He couldn't help but look at Yuhi and said to Kinai, as long as you don't disappear, just go to sleep, I look forward to your next wake up. Well, when I wake up next time, I also expect you to become stronger. Now that the 10 tails have disappeared, your power will no longer be suppressed or disturbed. It's great. Nai smiled brightly, and in the laughter, she fell asleep peacefully. The light dissipated, and Naruto stood there and exhaled a long breath. Over, the 10 tails have been separated, and there's nothing to do with Chennai. This is the perfect ending. Although he didn't know that Chennai, who had disappeared, would suddenly appear, but after this accident, he deeply realized how much he cared about the people around him. No matter who he was, he couldn't let it go. Kina, the girls in Hokage, or Mami Yanba from the previous world, it's time to go back and meet them. When 10 tails left his body, all his previous insights and powers were no longer suppressed. It is estimated that the passage of time and space will be found soon to connect to the original world. Moreover, absorbing the spiritual energy escaping from those 10 tails made Naruto's spiritual power even more powerful, twice as strong as before. That is to say, the magic power he can control at this time is twice as much as before. No, now he should not care how much magic power, because his power is no longer suppressed and interfered by 10 tails, and the natural mode can be fully turned on. After sorting out the mood, Naruto withdrew from the consciousness space. However, when he saw the scene in front of him, he stayed there all of a sudden. Oops. Actually forgot about this. What happened when you were fighting the 10 tails? Remember what 10 tails said, it's your own desires that dominate your body. So, everything in front of you is what you want and want. Lucy, I'm sorry. Naruto stretched out his hand to hold Lucy's tear-stained pretty face, his face pale, and the pain and numbness made him feel guilty. It turned out that after Naruto entered the space of consciousness, he was influenced by 10 tails, evil desires, and let his own desires dominate, and Lucy in front of him immediately aroused his desires, and he immediately entered her body, forcibly pressed her under her body and carried out round after round of scolding. At that time, Naruto's eyes were full of blood, and Yuhi completely ignored Lucy's resistance. In the end, Lucy could only watch helplessly as she was forcibly pushed by Naruto, forcibly entered, and forcibly pushed. Lucy was in pain. Although she had always had a good impression of Naruto, and even some girls admired her, Naruto's sudden atrocity shattered all her fantasies about the future. When the pain under her body hit, Lucy was scared and startled, plus her body was firmly pressed by Naruto. She couldn't break free at all. Helpless, she could only be pushed back and forth by Naruto over and over again. Pain, numbness. I don't know how much blood was shed. It was the first time that Lucy had no pleasant feeling at all. She only felt a burning pain in her lower part from the beginning to the end. Moreover, it all happened so suddenly that her heart still hadn't figured out the situation. What happened to Naruto? Why did he suddenly go mad? and why did he treat himself like this? At this moment, Naruto's gorilla Yuhi's eyes returned to tranquility and returned to the original blue color. Hearing his regretful apology, Lucy finally reacted. Naruto, have you finally recovered? Her voice was surprisingly calm. I'm sorry, Lucy, I just let my inner demon take over my body. Naruto apologized. He didn't dare to say it was his own desire. In that case, if he hadn't been pulled, if you enter the consciousness space, you will definitely be able to control your desires. A gleam of light flashed in Lucy's eyes, and then she understood what Naruto had done, but at the same time there was an unspeakable grievance in her heart. She groaned slightly in pain. Are you all right now? Okay, pain. Naruto looked down and saw that Lucy's upper body underwear was all torn to pieces by himself, and the place where the high-rise chest was, the originally white jade-like skin was covered with bruised Yuhi after being severely kneaded. And under her body, she didn't even take off her skirt, and she was forced to enter. At this time, the trousers that had only faded to half were all bloodstains from virgins, and even the ground was dripping all over the place. Naruto hurriedly withdrew from her body, and this move affected Lucy's injury below. She let out a wow, and Silver Kiba bit her lower lip tightly. At this moment, Naruto suddenly felt a few breaths moving towards this side. He was slightly startled, and hurriedly picked up Lucy's body, rushed into her bedroom, put on a piece of underwear for her, and put on another piece of underwear for her. Arrange her clothes and put her on her back on the bed. Lucy was in pain to death at this time, and seeing Naruto's series of actions, she didn't have time to think about what he meant, until there was a sudden bang outside the door, and a clear and anxious female voice sounded, and she finally realized it. There was a look of panic on his face. 729. Healing Wounds. Lucy, what's the matter with you? This anxious and worried voice was none other than Urza. As soon as she opened the door of Lucy's house, she saw that Lucy's living room was in a mess, and there was blood on the ground. Damn, Lucy, don't let anything happen. Urza anxiously searched around the room, and finally rushed to the bedroom door. And just when Elsa was about to blow open Lucy's bedroom door, Naruto suddenly opened the door and appeared. Boom! With a muffled sound, Urza immediately slammed her head into Naruto's chest. It hurts. Her body was directly knocked out by Naruto. Naruto was tall and tough. Urza flew back a few steps before she stood firm. When she saw it was Naruto, she couldn't help but be slightly taken aback. Naruto, you are indeed here too. When I came, I already felt your share in that mighty aura. Urza stepped forward and grabbed Naruto's arm and asked, now how's it going? Where's Lucy? And what about Joseph? Just when Elsa was questioning, Lucy in the room was lying on the bed with the quilt tightly covering her body. Even though her body was in pain, she didn't dare to utter a single groan. Although she was forced into her body by Naruto, she now knows that it was not Naruto's fault, but his inner demon, so of course, she didn't want to cause more trouble for others to know about this matter. After hearing Urza's concerned inquiry, Lucy was slightly moved. In this way, she couldn't let Urza know about herself and Naruto. Lucy, she's fine for the time being. Even Naruto felt that it was difficult to deal with it now. After all, he had done Lucy unconsciously just now, and now Urza suddenly rushed over. There was no time for anyone to react. At this moment, Lucy's voice suddenly came from the room. Is it Urza? Me, I'm fine. Her voice sounded weak. As soon as Urza heard this, she quickly pushed Naruto away and rushed into the bedroom, only to see Lucy lying on the bed, her face slightly pale. Lucy, what's the matter with you? Did the battle just hurt you? Urza asked worriedly, and at the same time she wanted to lift the quilt to check her body. At this moment, Lucy hurriedly stretched out her hand to stop her, smiled slightly and said, Urza, I'm fine. Naruto watched it for me just now, and I didn't get any injuries, it was just hurt by Joseph's magic power. You'll be fine after a rest. You're worried about Urza. While speaking, Lucy winked at Naruto, and Naruto quickly nodded. Yes, Urza, it's all my fault, and Joseph hurt Lucy, but I've already killed him." "What?" Urza immediately exclaimed when she heard Naruto's words. Her heart was full of shock. Joseph was killed by Naruto. This heavy news made it hard for her to reflect. Joseph was one of the 10 magic wizards of the Holy Spirit, and Naruto killed him in such a short period of time. There's something big going on in Get Out of Class. If he really killed Joseph, no matter what would happen to Joseph's relatives and friends, the Magic Council alone would not be able to spare Naruto. You know, although Joseph committed a crime and provoked a guild war, in the eyes of those guys, he is also a rare talent. He is a strong supporter of the magic world, Jinchuriki column. Now that Naruto has just killed him, how can the Magic Council easily bypass Naruto? Urza's shock was no trivial matter, and then she frowned and thought for Naruto, and walked around the room for a long time before finally saying to Naruto, "Naruto, don't care about other things for now. In these 2 days, someone will report that you killed Joseph, and the Magic Council will definitely come to trouble you, so you must go to the Magic Council with me in these 2 days." Naruto is still concerned about Lucy's affairs. He doesn't know much about Urza's words. After listening to her, he nodded quickly. After responding, he hoped that she would leave soon, otherwise Lucy would be exposed sooner or later. Fortunately, Urza was anxious when Naruto killed Joseph, so she didn't realize that something was wrong with Lucy, and after learning about the situation from the two of them, she left. After hurriedly sending Urza away, Naruto hurried back to Lucy's bedroom. Lucy finally couldn't help groaning in pain. "Okay, it hurts there," Lucy said, biting Kiba. Naruto looked at her pale and painful look, and felt really uncomfortable. The next moment, he didn't care anymore. He lifted her quilt, lifted her dress, and stretched out his hand towards her legs. "Go." "No, no," Lucy exclaimed, startled instinctively by Naruto's actions. Naruto took her hand and said softly, "Lucy, let me see how the injury is there, I can do some medical skills." Listening to his apologetic voice and looking at his gentle eyes, Lucy hesitated a little, but finally stopped resisting and quietly opened a pair of slender legs. Yuhi halo appeared on her pale face. At this time, Naruto's eyes had come into contact with the mysterious area between her legs, where there was a clump of golden hair, but the original pink and tender place was now a Yuhi swollen, and blood was still flowing. The injury is so serious. Seeing a wound there that was still bleeding until now, Naruto felt even more regret and pity in his heart. At this time, he didn't feel any kindness in his heart at all. "I'm sorry, Lucy, it must be painful." Naruto looked at her softly. Lucy Yuhi, although she was frightened and hurt by Naruto's violent movements before, but at this time, Naruto looked at her with such a fruity look, and she felt very strange in her heart, as if there was something wrong with her. As if her hands were stroking, she couldn't help twitching slightly. "What?" However, with just this, she touched the wound there and let out a pained cry. It's just that Naruto felt pity in his heart. Seeing this wound, he didn't have to think about how violent he was before. 730. Compliant. He stretched out his hand gently, and a green energy quietly appeared in his hand, covering the mysterious place between Lucy's legs. Under the nourishment of energy, and Naruto is now able to control all his energy with ease, the medical technique is used, and the effect is also very significant. Gradually, a trace of coolness floated under Lucy, as if a light stream was flowing through. Lucy couldn't help but let out a slight moan. It wasn't a painful moan, but a relief replaced by the pain and numbness that gradually disappeared. At the same time, her place was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The bleeding place no longer bleeds out, and the swollen place where Yuhi was swollen gradually subsided and became as pink as ever. It lasted for more than half an hour, because Naruto was not very good at medical ninjutsu, and at this time he was operating this technique very carefully and delicately. A drop of sweat could not help coming out of his forehead. Lucy was originally lamenting loudly in her heart, but at this time, seeing how he was working hard to treat herself, she couldn't help feeling a little sweetness in her heart. Although he was tricked by Naruto in that way, His attitude afterwards was really good. Naruto, it's alright, I'm there. No more pain. Lucy told him to stop when he saw the sweaty appearance of his treatment. No, there's still something wrong. Naruto continued to put his hand under her crotch, and the green light appeared. He wanted to use his own strength to warm her up after repairing her wound. Seeing that he was staring at him with seriousness, as if he was doing academic research, Lucy felt very strange in her heart, and couldn't help guessing he really wanted to continue to give her what about treatment, or do you want to take the opportunity to take advantage of it? But forget it, anyway, I have already been so rudely entered by him, let's see now. Miss this. With the mentality that such a dead pig is not afraid of boiling water, Lucy just lay on the bed and watched Naruto treat herself. After another half an hour, Naruto kept that position for an hour for Lucy's medical treatment before and after, and finally let out a breath, and couldn't help muttering, very good, the treatment was very successful, what does it look like? There are no sequelae left, it's perfect. As soon as Lucy heard his muttering, the swish on her tender face became Yuhi. Pervert. She couldn't help but scolded. She realized that her place was actually watched by Naruto for an hour. During this period of time, he wouldn't even count how many hairs he had there, would he? What a shame. How will I meet anyone in the future? This guy has completely defiled himself. Naruto smiled, rubbed his nose and said, okay, it's basically alright, you should take a rest, it's very late now, I'll see you tomorrow. Naruto felt extremely guilty for doing such an outrageous thing to Lucy. How dare he continue to stay here, he just wanted to go back and reflect on it. However, after all, what has been done has already been done, and it cannot be changed. Even regretting it is of no use. Just when Naruto got up and was about to leave, Lucy suddenly grabbed his hand and said indifferently, do you want to run away after you're done? This is not a good man in charge. I will come to see you tomorrow. Naruto laughed. Lucy stared into his eyes and said word by word, stay with me. Naruto was stunned for a moment. I have done such an excessive thing to you, are you still willing to forgive me? He asked immediately. Lucy glared at him and shook her head, of course I can't forgive you so easily. Otherwise, you won't be cheap. So from now on you want Tenten to accompany me. Until I feel better. Naruto was stunned again, then responded with a wry smile, sat beside her bed and said, then I won't leave. Lucy had a satisfied look on her face. Lucy can make Naruto look so sullen, and Lucy is also very beautiful now. Although she has lost a lot this time, and even gave him the most precious body, she finally got back a little interest. I'm thirsty, said Lucy. No need to say it again. Naruto had already put the water glass in front of her bed and fed it to her himself. I'm hungry, said Lucy again. Naruto dodged and went to the living room to find something to eat, but there was nothing left in the messy scene, and immediately ran to the convenience store overnight to pry the door open and brought her some delicious food for her. Lucy leaned on Naruto's shoulder, eating the food and water he fed her, and finally a happy smile appeared on her face. I'm sleepy. Lucy yawned and fell asleep on Naruto's shoulders. Naruto let out a long breath, looked at the slightly frowning eyebrows on her white jade-like face, and sighed silently in his heart. This time, this incident must have caused a lot of shadows on Lucy. Everything is due to the influence of 10 tails, evil thoughts, but in the final analysis it is his own desire. Right, I haven't touched a woman for so many days, and when I was stimulated by 10 tails, evil thoughts, it suddenly became like this. You can only blame yourself. Lucy's golden hair fell on Naruto's chest, she was really exhausted. But Naruto looked at her who was in a deep sleep, but she felt extremely beautiful. Lucy, who was usually lively and cheerful, now frowned slightly, which was very pitiful. Naruto couldn't help hugging her body tightly, holding her tightly in his arms. The next day, early in the morning, Naruto woke up and found himself lying on the bed with a white quilt covering him, and the quilt exuded a faint girly fragrance. He hurriedly sat up, got out of the bed, and found that his clothes had not been taken off. After thinking about it carefully, he remembered that he was holding Lucy last night, and then fell asleep unconsciously. Just as he was stunned, the door was suddenly opened, and Lucy stood in front of him. "Hi, morning Naruto," Lucy greeted him with a smile, her original lively smile on her face. "Lucy, are you all right?" Naruto was stunned when he saw how energetic she was. 731. Be my boyfriend. "Well, I slept well last night. Naruto, you promised me to stay with me until I'm happy." Lucy suddenly grabbed his arm and pulled him out of the room. "You first go wash up, then we'll have breakfast. I'm not going to the guild today, you have to accompany me to buy things, many things in this room are broken." After she finished chatting, she pushed Naruto into the bathroom. Naruto couldn't help but feel very surprised. How did Lucy recover after a day? She was fucked by her own girl yesterday. After a good night's sleep now, it's as if nothing mysterious has happened. How strange. With this puzzled feeling, after Naruto finished washing up, he went out with Lucy. After going out, Naruto looked at Lucy next to him, and saw that she was wearing a short sleeve with Yuhi's heart embroidered on her chest, and a white short skirt below, revealing two slender legs, and she walked without the slightest bit awkward look. It seems that the treatment last night was really very effective. Naruto was slightly relieved. Along the way, Lucy also asked Naruto what happened yesterday and why he was suddenly invaded by demons and did such a thing. Naruto told her that it was because she was injured by Joseph that she was occupied by the inner demon, which was why she did such a thing, and he apologized repeatedly. "Will that inner demon appear in the future?" Lucy asked in a trembling voice. "No, I have completely eliminated him yesterday," Naruto patted his chest and assured. Lucy breathed a sigh of relief. After understanding the ins and outs of the matter, she forgave Naruto. She is not the kind of girl who is confused. After knowing that Naruto was also like this because of fighting Joseph, she also understood in her heart that if it wasn't to protect himself, he wouldn't be hurt by Joseph, so in the final analysis, it was his own fault. After thinking about it, although Lucy felt that both parties had inescapable responsibilities for this matter, she still accepted all this leniently. "Naruto, I have forgiven you for this matter, but you must not say it, and since we have already had such a relationship, I will simply accept you as my boyfriend. We will start dating now." Lucy turned her head and said to him, and a layer of Yuhi dizziness appeared on her face. These words, she also said after thinking. For Naruto, she liked and admired a little, but because he had an ambiguous relationship with Mirage and Urza, and everyone in the guild admitted that he and Urza were the best match, she usually doesn't dare to think about Naruto at all. But after this incident, she simply thought about it. Anyway, she already had a relationship with Naruto, so why should she wrong herself again? Urza and Mirage certainly didn't get to this point with Naruto, right? In this way, I now definitely have the biggest advantage. It's just that although she said that she wanted to make Naruto her boyfriend, she still needed to work hard to get everyone to admit it. The most important thing was Naruto's approval, otherwise Urza and Mirage would definitely not be happy. And Naruto didn't feel anything wrong when he heard it. Instead, he felt that Lucy's idea was very mature. At least in this way, what he did to her can be weakened to a minimum. However, if he were to date with Lucy, Urza, Mirage and the others would definitely know about it. Then, I'm afraid there will be trouble again. Thinking of this, he couldn't help frowning. What's the matter? Naruto, don't you want it? Lucy saw Naruto frown, her heart trembled, and she burst into tears. You don't have any feelings for me, do you? Naruto waved his hand quickly. Lucy, where do you want to go? How can I not like a beautiful and lovely girl like you? We will be boyfriend and girlfriend from now on. He finally made that promise. Of course, I'll talk about it later. If I talk about a harem or something with her now, she will definitely be more exaggerated than her reaction on the train that day. After all, the relationship between the two is different at this time. Lucy is beautiful, cute, lively and cheerful. Although Naruto doesn't show how much he likes on the surface, he actually cares about Lucy very much in his heart, otherwise he wouldn't forcefully absorb the energy of Joseph's self-destruction due to internal injuries. Then she won't humbly bring tea and water to her after doing something wrong. Unconsciously, Naruto's arms gently wrapped around Lucy's slender waist, his palms pressed against her thin silk clothes, feeling the delicate elasticity of her waist. Lucy was suddenly hugged by Naruto, but she was a little uncomfortable. Although she had agreed to be his boyfriend and girlfriend, she still felt a little awkward from being a good friend before to being a close friend now. It's just that the feeling of Naruto's big hand falling on her waist made her feel a little trembling in body and mind. She suddenly remembered the way she was lying under him yesterday afternoon and was beaten so badly. Unable to tremble, Naruto was pushed away immediately. "What's wrong?" Naruto stopped and asked when he saw her sudden strangeness. "No, it's nothing." Lucy's voice trembled. Seeing her somewhat frightened look, Naruto guessed that she must have had a shadow on herself. With a long sigh, Naruto looked at her and said, "I'm sorry, Lucy, I left you with such a terrible memory that day. These days, I will definitely help you heal your wounds in your heart." Lucy looked at his ashamed and concerned expression with a smile on her face. "Well, let's go eat." Next, the two went to the breakfast shop together. After eating together, they walked around the town, looking for furniture stores and decorators. The house was destroyed like this, and it must cost money to make it restored. Lucy, are you alright?" Just as Naruto and the two had prepared everything and were about to go back, a familiar voice sounded from behind. "It's Urza. P.S. Recommend a friend's new book, Wolkiora of Death, absolutely awesome." 732, Change Clothes. Lucy's body froze slightly, and she involuntarily moved to the side who was originally held by Naruto. At this time, Urza had come to the two of them. Seeing the two of them walking together so early in the morning, she asked strangely, "Naruto, why didn't you go to the guild today?" Seeing him and Lucy standing very close, I couldn't help feeling a little uncomfortable. It is said that Naruto and Lucy have been getting closer and closer recently, and unconsciously, the time he spent with himself turned to Lucy. She couldn't help but wake up. At this time, although Urza's face was calm, she was very concerned and felt a little sour. "Lucy was injured yesterday, so I came to see her very early." Naruto panicked a little. If he said that he slept with Lucy and still hugged her to sleep, then I really don't know how Elsa will react. "Well, so that's the case, why didn't you ask me to come with you, really? Where are you going now?" Urza pondered for a while, and was slightly relieved. She thought Naruto was overnight at Lucy's house. Yesterday, she could see clearly that Lucy's house only had one bedroom and one room. If Naruto didn't go back, she would definitely be in the same room with Lucy. In any case, she couldn't imagine such a scene. Although Lucy said before that she and Naruto became boyfriend and girlfriend, but after seeing Urza at this time, she was a little scared, and she didn't know why she didn't want Urza to know clearly about her and Naruto's relationship. Because of this relationship, a large part is due to the unexpected event yesterday. In fact, Lucy also knew very well in her heart that if she competed with Urza in an open and honest way, she really had no confidence in winning her. Lucy smiled. "My house was damaged like this yesterday. Naruto and I are going to buy something and have breakfast by the way." "Have you eaten, Urza?" "Oh, that's right, I didn't eat it either. Let's go together," Urza said after listening. Lucy was stunned for a moment, and looked a little unhappy. With Urza here, the two-person world between herself and Naruto is equivalent to ruining it. But seeing Elsa's long hair fluttering and her heroic appearance, Lucy felt a little ashamed and felt that she really couldn't compete with her. "Why?" she sighed inwardly. The three had to go to breakfast together. In fact, Elsa had already eaten breakfast, but she was very suspicious and worried about the relationship between Naruto and Lucy, so she also told a small lie and followed the two to have breakfast. Urza, who lied, had a strange expression on her face, and felt very uneasy in her heart. Was it too harsh for her to do this? Even if Naruto really dated Lucy, he couldn't do it himself, could he? As an S-rank mage, this kind of bearing is too small, right? With a feeling of guilt and anxiety, Urza was silent. For a time, the atmosphere between the three became very strange. Lucy was afraid that Urza would know about her and Naruto. Urza felt that she was a little nosy, and Naruto was also very uncomfortable and embarrassed to be sandwiched between the two women. Naruto sighed silently. This depressed atmosphere really made it hard to breathe. Naruto also has a special feeling for Urza and Lucy. Urza, who he has known since childhood, of course he understands her feelings, but Naruto also knows that he is a prodigal son, and Arusa is more than Lucy. To be simple, he really can't bear to hurt such a girl. And Lucy, at the first sight of her, liked her lively and cheerful nature and vigorous vigor, and later learned that she was a daughter of a big family, and ran out of the house for adventure and freedom. Looking for a world that truly belongs to him, but what he did yesterday caused a lot of damage to her, and he felt very guilty. These two girls are very good and lovely, making it difficult to choose, but unfortunately the more beautiful the girls are, the more Naruto feels that they should be given a kind of pure love, that he is just a prodigal son, wandering in time and space among them. Even the previous women could not be reunited, and he was really afraid in his heart. If he lost it again, how much damage would it cause them? Looking at the beautiful girls with blonde hair and Yuhi hair on the left and right, Naruto suddenly felt a little prickly. Naruto didn't notice all the envious glances from the passers-by around him. He was just thinking, what should he do? What do you expect from Lucy and Urza? Perhaps, this kind of thing can only be left to nature, forcing it will only become more difficult. After breakfast, the three of them found a repair craftsman, and after finishing the house repair, Elsa suggested to take a stroll. The three came to a clothing store specially opened for mages. The Fairy Tale Guild is quite famous in this city. As soon as the shop owner saw the coat of arms of Fairy Tale on the back of Lucy's hand, he warmly invited the three of them to enter. Because Naruto didn't want to buy clothes, they went directly to the women's clothing area, where the clothes were dazzling, and the shelves were full of clothes, dresses, and tights. Lucy and Urza quickly left Naruto and went to choose clothes. Naruto sat aside, and the two finally left, which made him let out a sigh of relief. It's finally a little easier. He watched the two choose clothes. It was a common nature for girls to like to choose clothes, even Urza, who always wore armor all the time. Moreover, it's not that she doesn't like those gorgeous clothes, it's just that she rarely wears them. At this time, she and Lucy were choosing each other, looking at this one and the other, and after a while, they both chose their own clothes and went to the fitting room. After a while, Lucy came out first. I saw that she put on a pair of navy blue cropped short sleeves with white lace on the cuffs. Her towering breasts were completely protruded, in sharp contrast with her smooth belly, and the lower body was a white short skirt, worthy of Khan only covered the plump buttocks, revealing two slender legs. Naruto, does this suit look good? After she came out, she blinked at Naruto and said with a grin. 733. Lucy's sexy dress. It's beautiful. Naruto nodded and smiled. When Lucy heard Naruto's praise, she immediately smiled. At this moment, Elsa also came out. She stopped in front of Lucy and smiled at Naruto with her hands on her hips. Although Lucy is good, but not very fashionable, how about my outfit? Naruto's eyes popped out at this time. It turns out that the trend in Urza's heart is like this. Because Urza was wearing a black swimsuit. The twin peaks on the chest are no less than Lucy's. The black hood can't cover it at all, as if it will be squeezed out at any time, and there is a deep ravine that makes people bathe on fire. Moreover, what is even worse is that Elsa's lower body is only wearing a pair of shorts. Although it is swimming trunks, the plump buttocks wrapped by the swimming trunks are mouthwatering and irresistible. Bulging forward and backward, the temptation is extraordinary. Naruto stared blankly. But Lucy shouted in dissatisfaction, Elsa, this is obviously a swimsuit. You are so cunning. Didn't you bring a coat before? Hee hee, I actually took 2 sets at the time. The one I tried didn't feel good, so I changed to this swimsuit. Urza smiled lightly. Lucy glared at her angrily. Seeing that Naruto's eyes were almost all attracted by Urza, she was very dissatisfied. How can you do this? Miss Ben's overall quality is not as good as Urza, but her body is not worse than her. Phew, I'm going to change another one. Lucy hurriedly went to choose clothes again, and she chose the kind of super revealing clothes. When Naruto saw it, he couldn't help but be speechless. It seems that this girl Lucy is in a fight with Urza, and Urza is really, what swimsuit is she wearing? After a while, Lucy hurried into the fitting room after choosing a set of clothes, and Elsa also found a dress to go in. However, this time it was Elsa who came out first. Since she was told by Lucy just now, she didn't wear any swimwear this time, but put on a professional OL outfit with a white long-sleeved shirt on her upper body. The cuffs were slightly rolled up, and the huge chest seemed to burst through the buttons, and the lower body was a short black skirt that covered her thighs. The skirt was slightly split, which tightly outlined her graceful body. Moreover, because she wears a pair of black wide-brimmed glasses on her face, it shows that she has an intellectual and mature temperament. Naruto, do you like this set? Elsa smiled lightly, looking at the light in Naruto's eyes. She was very happy. Urza, you look beautiful no matter what you wear, Naruto said with a smile. At this moment, Lucy's voice suddenly came from the fitting room. Naruto, I've changed, come in and see. Huh, hearing her voice, both Naruto and Urza were taken aback. Lucy, come out when you're done, why did you call Naruto in? Urza said. I don't dare to come out, it's a bit embarrassing to change clothes. Lucy's shy voice came out. Naruto was immediately aroused by her words. What kind of clothes did Lucy change? Why didn't she dare to come out? At this moment, the door of the fitting room opened a crack, and Lucy's slender hand stretched out and hooked Naruto outside. Naruto glanced at Elsa, shook his head helplessly, and walked into the fitting room. As soon as the door opened, Naruto was instantly dumbfounded. I saw Lucy lying on the small bed in the fitting room, wearing a sexy lingerie with lace on her upper body and a pair of thongs underneath. Her slender and fair thighs radiated likeness under the light of the fitting room. Kiba-like light. Lucy, you are. Naruto almost got a nosebleed. This is no longer a fitting, it has completely turned into a temptation to eat guago. Naruto, how are you? Lucy asked Yuhi, looking at him shyly. It's beautiful. Naruto saw the ashes rise, and a small tent was already set up below. Is it better than Urza's? Lucy changed her posture, curled her calf slightly, lay on her side and looked at Naruto. The big wave on her chest was suddenly pressed into an astonishing arc, the deep ravine it's like sucking people in. Naruto can't help himself, is this girl trying to lead people to commit crimes? At this moment, Elsa also entered the fitting room. When she saw Lucy lying on her side in such a seductive pose, she couldn't help but slap Yuhi's face, spat softly, and taught Lucy, Lucy, you are so outrageous. How can you put on such a shameful pose for others to see? When Lucy heard this, she had the courage to reply with a smile, Hee, Urza, you can do the same. Let Naruto evaluate as well. I don't want it. Urza snorted, her jade face communicated with Yuhi, but she couldn't help thinking of this scene in her mind. When she was posing in front of Naruto in such revealing clothes, it was just thinking about it makes you feel hot. What a shame. Okay, it's almost time, we should go. Lucy, hurry up, get up, when are you going to put on such a shameful pose? After a while, Urza couldn't stand the shame. Atmosphere, hurriedly shouted. Lucy smiled, then got up and put on her clothes, and went back with the two of them. This time, Lucy is even better. When she went back, although Urza looked calm, her eyes couldn't help but look at Naruto and Lucy. Her eyes were full of suspicion. Judging from Lucy's performance just now, she clearly fell in love with Naruto. After all, as a girl, she knew very well that only in front of someone she liked to be undefended would she dress so revealingly, or even bring temptation. Confused colors. This made her heart very complicated. In addition to Mirage's rival in love, there is now another Lucy, which is really getting more and more difficult to handle. After sending Lucy home, Lucy originally wanted to stay with Naruto, but she had no choice but to let Naruto leave with Erza beside her. However, before leaving, Lucy quietly gave him a look. Naruto understood and nodded to her quietly. 734. Sneak out. After sending Ursha back to the dormitory, Ursha suddenly said, "Let's practice at night." Naruto remembered Lucy's look, which was obviously meant to find her again at night, but now Erza has sent an invitation to herself again. Is this a rejection or a promise? For a time, he couldn't help being a little embarrassed. Erza noticed his strangeness. She suddenly understood something, and smiled slightly. "Just kidding with you. I've been shopping for a day today, and I'm tired too, so let's have a good rest at night." Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. After saying goodbye to Erza, Naruto returned home. When he got home, Naruto lay on the bed all of a sudden, and when he recalled the events of the past 2 days, he couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Although he accidentally forced Lucy and made such a troublesome thing, it was nothing compared to what he had gained. Was originally disturbed by 10 tails now has no restrictions. Not to mention the progress of spiritual power, the magic power in the body can also have the opportunity to be transformed into pure energy. At that time, after you can use space ninjutsu, there will not be so many restrictions. Moreover, at this time, he can also connect with the whole nature, integrate his body with nature, and enter the natural mode. In this mode, he can use the magic power of the whole nature, without having to absorb these magic power into the body and use it again. Now, it can be said that he no longer has to be afraid of anyone. Thinking of this, Naruto sat cross-legged and entered into meditation. Other magicians meditate to enhance spiritual power, while Naruto's current meditation is not to refine spiritual power, but to communicate with nature. At this time, he closed his eyes, but he seemed to see countless magical elements flying around his body. Yuhi, blue, white, yellow. Light spots of various colors. This is the magic element of each line. Naruto is trying to control these magic elements, just like he controlled the entire nature in the previous 2 worlds. He wants to control all these magic powers. However, when he tried to control these magic powers, he found that he could only control the magic power elements within 50 meters around his body, and there was no way to control the magic power of the whole nature. How is this going? I used to be able to control the power of the entire world, but now my spiritual power is much stronger than before, but why can I only control such a little natural magic power? Does it mean that the laws of nature that each world can comprehend are different? Even if you have mastered the power of nature in the previous world, now in this world, do you have to start to comprehend it again? Well, then understand it. Naruto has his own experience, and this aspect is still very basic, so he is very confident that he will fully master the power of nature within a certain period of time. Then, the next step is the magic in the body. These magics are now unrestricted, and Naruto has been able to fuse them with each other. It is only one step away, and they can be combined into chaotic energy. Once he has the power of chaos, he can use space ninjutsu, open the gate of time and space, and find the way to the original world. Moreover, now he doesn't have to worry about being hurt by the turbulent flow of time and space. This body has been tempered by time and space. Now he doesn't need to worry about the factors of time and space turbulence. It is not impossible to find the original world. Therefore, during this period of time, he finally found something to do, so he no longer has to wait in a daze. Opened his eyes, got up, Naruto touched his stomach, only to realize that he hadn't had dinner yet, and looked at the sky outside. It was already dark at this time. He remembered his appointment with Lucy. After putting on some clothes, Naruto hurriedly left the house. At the door of Lucy's house, Naruto found Lucy standing on the balcony looking out. Seeing Naruto coming, she couldn't help showing a happy smile on her face, and said in a coquettish voice, "Naruto, you are so late." Naruto showed a gentlemanly smile. "Miss Lucy, have you eaten dinner? Are you interested in having a meal together?" Lucy rolled his eyes at him. "I'll go if you treat me." "Then come down." Naruto beckoned to her. Lucy cheered, and hurriedly ran into the house, changed clothes, and went downstairs to Naruto's side. "It's really beautiful." Naruto looked at her carefully, and found that she had put on a little makeup, and her playfulness and cuteness showed a mature and charming temperament. Lucy's embarrassed Yuhi slapped Yuhi's face, her jade arm hugged Naruto's big hand, and the soft flesh on her chest squeezed him, making him feel extra comfortable. During the day, Lucy was very aggrieved. She established a relationship with Naruto on the first day and became a boyfriend and girlfriend, but before she could enjoy the two-person world enough, she was disturbed by Urza. At this time, she finally cared about Naruto. She must pay Naruto well for the consequences of doing such an excessive thing to herself. At night, it was a very romantic time. There were also many couples flirting on the street. Lucy was also infected by this atmosphere. He and Naruto looked around at the things on the street vendors, and from time to time they made a noise. "Jiaohu," and then asked Naruto to help her buy it. Naruto felt that he owed her. Of course, he played with her well, and seeing the happy smile on her face made him feel very relaxed. At least, it would make Lucy forget the pain that day. After one night, Naruto and the two returned happily. When taking Lucy home to the door, Naruto looked at her slightly pretty face, and suddenly had the urge to kiss her. Lucy also felt that Naruto was staring at her. She was a little embarrassed and her heart was bumping like a deer. "That, Naruto." She raised her head and wanted to say something in this atmosphere. But at the next moment, Naruto suddenly lowered his head and choked her cherry mouth. Ming. Lucy was stunned for a moment. Naruto kissed her soft lips and attacked slowly, looking at her dumbfounded. A smile appeared in his eyes, and then his tongue went in and stirred gently. 735. I'll help you take off. After a long time, Naruto let go of her. At this time, Lucy had already been kissed by Naruto. She was dizzy, her pretty face was Yuhi, and her body was leaning weakly against his chest. "Lucy, I'll take it back to the house," Naruto whispered to her. Lucy nodded lightly, already intoxicated by his gentle words. After sending her back to the room, Naruto entered her bedroom directly with her. Naruto, don't you want to go back?" Lucy said, sitting on the edge of the bed, her head lowered, and her voice was as thin as mosquitoes. At this moment, her heart was beating wildly, and when she saw Naruto come in directly with herself, she immediately had a premonition of what was going to happen in her heart. "I want to stay here today." Naruto looked at her and said. This won't work." Lucy was slightly startled, and hurriedly raised her head and said, but as soon as she met Naruto's eyes, she immediately lowered her head in a panic. "Why not? We are already boyfriend and girlfriend." Naruto's big hand quietly put on her round shoulder, caressed lightly, and whispered, "I did such an outrageous thing to you yesterday, I have to make up for it today." "Ah, am I? Make up?" Hearing this sentence, Lucy was stunned again, and then her jade face turned into Yuhi, and she was at a loss. She couldn't help thinking of the unsightly humiliating scene in her mind, and she panicked for a while, but suddenly the picture in her mind changed. It became the scene of Naruto's brutal attack on her yesterday, and she immediately became numb. "Shake." "No," Lucy exclaimed, suddenly pushing Naruto away. Naruto was stunned for a moment, only to see the terrified expression on her face. He stepped forward to support her shoulder and said softly, "I'm sorry, Lucy, if you really don't want me to stay, then I'll leave first." With that, he stood up and was about to leave. "Don't go." Seeing that he was about to leave, Lucy hurriedly took his big hand. Naruto sat back on the bed and looked at her seriously. Lucy said softly, "Naruto, it's not your fault, I know you're trying to save me, please give me some time." Naruto nodded. Then, can you sleep with me in your arms? Lucy quietly crawled into his arms. Naruto nodded slightly, hugged her tightly, covered the quilt and turned off the light. Originally, he wanted to do something with Lucy, but just when he saw her screaming suddenly, he knew that the shadow he gave her yesterday couldn't be easily eliminated, so now he just hugs her and doesn't move. Do not move. After a long time, Lucy suddenly made a voice in the dark. Naruto, are you not hot? Why don't you take off your clothes? Didn't you take it off? Naruto responded. Ah, you didn't fall asleep. Lucy was startled and said, I'm not hot. Naruto was speechless. He had to take off his clothes when he went to bed. It didn't matter whether it was hot or not. After a while, Lucy twisted awkwardly. What's wrong? Of course Naruto hadn't fallen asleep at this time. Holding a beautiful woman in his arms, it was really difficult for him to fall asleep. I can't sleep. Why? Lucy hesitated for a moment, then whispered, I usually like to sleep naked. It's uncomfortable to wear so many clothes today. Naruto sweated, which reminded him of the sexy underwear that Lucy changed in the fitting room this morning, and his heart suddenly became hot. Then do you want to take one off first? Naruto put forward a pertinent opinion. Just take one off. Yes. Then don't move. Lucy gave a small warning. I'm not moving, Naruto said firmly. Lucy hesitated for a moment, her arms moved slightly, she unbuttoned her clothes, and took off her coat first. But because both of them were lying down, Lucy kept twisting in Naruto's arms when she took off her clothes, and her soft and elastic body leaned against him, making him boil with fire. A piece of clothing, she took off for a minute before taking it off. Then came the pants again. At this time, Naruto finally couldn't bear it any longer. He suddenly grabbed her jade hand and whispered in her ear, Lucy, I'll help you take it off. Lucy trembled. Naruto couldn't see her face in the darkness, only that she finally nodded slightly after being silent for a long time. With her permission, Naruto put his big hand on her waist and groped along her smooth back. On the delicate waist, Naruto finally found the button of her short skirt, stretching into her plump buttocks. Lucy's body trembled again, her chest rose and fell sharply, and her heart was beating wildly. At this time, Naruto had already endured the pain all over his body, and the iron bar below was as hard as it was pressing against Lucy's buttocks. Naruto, close, too close. Lucy whispered softly. She felt her short skirt was pulled off a little bit, leaving only a pair of trousers, but the hard thing in the buttocks groove was immediately noticed by her. At this moment, her body suddenly trembled and she tensed up tightly, recalling the moment when he was ruthlessly entered yesterday. No, don't continue, Naruto, I'll do it myself. After all, Lucy couldn't resist the shadow in her mind, and whispered softly. Naruto sighed slightly. Sure enough, the injury is too deep, the more difficult it is to heal. It can't go on like this. It seems that only a little extreme approach can be taken. The next moment, Naruto stopped taking off her short skirt, and Lucy finally breathed a sigh of relief. I'm sorry, Naruto, Lucy spoke softly. As soon as she spoke, she suddenly felt the bed shake, and then her body sank and was pressed down by a strong body. It's Naruto. Naruto, what are you doing? Before she could say anything, her cherry lips were covered by Naruto's big hands. Naruto lowered his head, and in the darkness he could see her slightly frightened eyes. He came to her ear and whispered, Lucy, everything yesterday was my fault, but I don't want you to leave such a shadow, and now I will use my way to cure you. After speaking, Naruto let go of her, covered her lips with his lips, and kissed her recklessly. Lucy whimpered softly. She was suppressed by Naruto. She didn't even have a chance to speak, so she could only be kissed wildly by him. She was very scared in her heart, but she felt the strange feeling on her lips, which made her a little unable to extricate herself. She involuntarily stopped struggling, let him kiss her, and even opened her small mouth to greet her. His offense. Naruto, While kissing Naruto, she called out his name, and her body gradually became more relaxed. At this time, Naruto's big hand slowly slid down her pretty face, covering her high chest, so big and full that she couldn't hold it with one hand. Gently rubbed, Lucy's throat suddenly let out an unconscious moan. Seeing that she was immersed in the passionate kiss, and there was no resistance action, Naruto was relieved slightly. The movement in his hand quietly increased, and the range also went from her chest to her lower abdomen, thighs, and buttocks. At this time, Lucy was completely caught up in Naruto's gentle offensive, and while she was kissing without affection, she felt the feeling of being loved and caressed by Naruto, and her body kept twisting. 736. Happy. Feeling that Lucy's defenses gradually loosened, her body became softer and softer, and Naruto knew that she had finally succeeded. Little by little, Naruto's arms wrapped around her thighs, gently poking into the middle of her mysterious flowers. Quietly wiped, a piece that was already wet. Lucy's body trembled lightly. She felt Naruto's fiery big hand touching her private part. It was numb, causing a current to spread throughout her body, making almost every cell active. Naruto. No, no there, Lucy said with her legs together, her beautiful eyes slightly opened, and her body struggling slightly. By Naruto's love and caressing, and her mind was already confused. At this moment, the shadow in her heart became light and light. Finally, Naruto's hand pushed away her slender and tender thighs again. His waist was aimed at her, and his body sank gently. Lucy raised her head slightly. The feeling of the giant object entering made her whole body tremble. Due to her nervousness, her place was so tight that Naruto couldn't enter for a while. Lucy, relax, don't be afraid, I won't make you suffer again. Naruto leaned over to her ear and said softly, sticking out his tongue. His head lightly touched her crystal-like earlobe. Listening to his gentle voice and feeling his considerate movements, Lucy's heart almost melted. She only felt that Naruto's big hand, Naruto's tongue, and tongue all carried an unparalleled magic power. Makes one's whole body and mind intoxicated. How beautiful. This kind of feeling makes people not want to resist at all, just want to indulge in it and gain greater happiness. Naruto felt Lucy's body slowly relax, and the white and tender thighs that were holding his waist tightly also loosened, no longer resisting him. He smiled slightly, and his body finally sank again. Puff. Totally missing. Lucy suddenly let out a groan from the bottom of her heart, as if it was a voice from a distant heaven. It's so beautiful and melodious. Okay, so happy. Lucy's pair of jade arms suddenly hugged Naruto's neck and said tenderly. Her face was full of pleasure, feeling the feeling of Naruto's giant being bulging and beating in her body. Lucy found that she had no pain, but a kind of saying unbelievable feeling. It's so wonderful. Why is there such a big difference between how you feel today and yesterday? Yesterday I was in pain, but today I feel very comfortable. Regarding this issue, Lucy had no time to think about it, because at this time Naruto had already started to rub gently. Ah good, it's so comfortable. Lucy couldn't help but let out a soft cry, and then realized that her cry was too shameful. She hurriedly closed her small mouth, and Silver Kiba bit her tightly. Seeing her so cute appearance, Naruto couldn't help laughing. At the same time, he increased the range of motion of his body, propped up the bed with both hands, and his waist rose and sank faster and faster, bringing a burst of water. Voice. Lucy bit Kibayuhi's face and held on for a while, and finally couldn't stand the increasingly intense pleasure. Just after Naruto sank once, she finally opened her mouth and groaned, followed by her ass. Lift up, your whole body is tense and still. Twitch. Continuous twitching. She has finally reached the pinnacle of happiness. At this moment, she seemed to be above the clouds, and this wonderful feeling surrounded her whole body. After a while, she loosened her tense body and lay under Naruto, unable to breathe. Naruto also lay down and hugged her from behind, still deep inside her body. His hand slipped quietly on top of her proudly standing twin peaks. Naruto, it's really, really comfortable. Lucy let out a long breath and whispered. Of course, I said I won't let you hurt anymore, I will give you the greatest happiness. He whispered love words in her ear, which made Lucy fascinated again. After a while, Lucy leaned in his arms and suddenly felt that Naruto's big thing was still in her body. She couldn't help feeling a little embarrassed, and said softly, Naruto, are you still not satisfied? Okay, do it again. I'm afraid you won't be able to bear it. Naruto said with a smile. It's alright, it's very comfortable, I feel like I can ask for more. Lucy said, her very upturned buttocks suddenly moved again, and suddenly aroused a wonderful pleasure. Naruto couldn't endured, her arms grabbed her slender legs, and attacked fiercely from behind. The room was filled with Lucy's unforgettable moaning for a while, and the bed was full of extravagant sounds, and the water almost soaked all the sheets. The next morning, suddenly someone knocked on the door outside. Naruto and Lucy were still sleeping. After hearing the sound, Naruto woke up immediately, looking at Lucy lying on his chest and still falling asleep. A smile could not help showing on his face. Last night, I sent Lucy to the peak 3 times in a row, and finally stopped until she was so tired that her voice was hoarse. At this time, Lucy was leaning naked in her arms and fell asleep. The silky and satin skin gave Naruto a special touch, which made him unable to resist another burst of desire and secretly swallowed his saliva. Naruto suppressed the emotions he wanted and got up quietly. Lucy was too tired last night, and it wasn't long before she broke down for the first time, so she couldn't mess around anymore. He got up and put on his clothes, walked out of the bedroom and came to the door. To the people outside. It doesn't matter if you don't look at it, he was shocked when he saw it. It's Urza. This is bad. Why did Urza come suddenly? If she found out about her overnight stay at Lucy's house, she would definitely be saddened to death. Moreover, Lucy is now lying naked on the bed, and the bed is full of traces of the two making love. If Urza sees it, he can't imagine that kind of scene. 737. Where gang? Thinking of this, Naruto suddenly became big and too big, and he hurried back to the bedroom to push Lucy up on the bed. Lucy, wake up. Lucy was so tired last night, and now she was pushed to wake up by Naruto in her deep sleep. She opened her beautiful eyes lazily, looked at Naruto, and pouted Yuhirin's small mouth. Naruto, don't make trouble, let it go. I slept well. I was so tired last night. No way. Someone knocked on the door. Don't worry about others. Come and sleep with me first. Lucy closed her eyes and sneered, and she stretched out her jade arm to hook Naruto's neck and pulled him to her bed. At this moment, Urza, who knocked on the door outside, felt that no one responded for a long time, and couldn't help but muttered strangely, what's going on? It's just starting in the morning. Lucy usually arrives at the guild at 8 o'clock, right? That's right. At home. Is she sleeping? Well, it seems necessary to wake her up. With a hint of mischief, Urza went around to another window of the house, forced the window open from the outside, and entered the house. In fact, she came to Lucy because she found a mission and was going to do a mission with her today, so that she could avoid staying with Naruto. After all, Naruto and Lucy have been so close in the past 2 days, her heart has been sour for a long time, and Naruto's performance last night made her very suspicious, and she also wanted to witness it this morning. At this time, Naruto was being hooked tightly by Lucy's neck, lying on the bed unable to move. At the same time, Lucy turned over, and her naked body was exposed from the quilt, her slender and tender thighs directly wrapped around Naruto's waist. Naruto was thrown into flames, but unfortunately now is not the time to stay in bed. Elsa outside has waited for so long. If Lucy still doesn't open the door, she will definitely force her to come in because of her personality. No, never let Urza find out, otherwise the consequences will be unpredictable. Naruto fights with the desire in his heart with great perseverance. However, it was too late. The bedroom door was opened with a click, and Urza's voice came, Lucy. The sun is drying up. I can't afford it. Before the word, bed, could be uttered, Ursa's beautiful eyes suddenly widened. She stared at the two people entangled on the bed, her small mouth opened into an O shape. Naruto, she cried out incredulously, seeing Lucy lying naked on top of Naruto, her dazzling thigh gently rubbing against him. At this moment, her mind seemed to stop thinking, stand still. Naruto was also stunned for a moment. This is really bad. Ursa actually came in, and she was just watching herself and Lucy hugging each other. Elsa. Naruto hurriedly pushed away Lucy, who was hugging him tightly, and stood up at once. At the same time, Elsa suddenly exuded an extremely powerful murderous aura. At this moment, her body instantly completed the transformation. The armor of heaven. Ursa snorted, looking at the ambiguous appearance of Naruto and Lucy in front of her, and a wave of angry thoughts instantly surged in her mind. Swish swish. In an instant, Elsa's body swelled with magic power, and dozens of sharp swords suddenly appeared in the space around her white armor. Chi-Chi aimed at Naruto and Lucy. Hey, Ursa, don't mess around. Naruto hurriedly stopped in front of Lucy, who was still sleeping. Ursa said viciously, word by word, Naruto, I didn't expect you to actually walk with Lucy. Elsa. Naruto wanted to say something, but at this moment, the long sword around Elsa's body suddenly flew over, covering the sky and covering the two of them. At this time, Lucy opened her beautiful eyes in a daze. Suddenly, all the long swords flashed in her sight. She finally screamed and hugged Naruto's body, but she didn't find the quilt on her body. He landed directly on the ground, and his body became naked. His hand and snorted softly, ice-shaped magic ice shield. With a swoosh, a cold air burst out in an instant, and countless long swords fell on the ice shield, making a clanging sound, blocking them all. Naruto, you bastard! Ursa yelled, and then the figure flashed and disappeared in front of Naruto. Naruto was stunned for a moment, and then he couldn't help but let out a wry smile. Looking at Lucy who was still lying on his back like an octopus, he turned around and hugged her in his arms, took the quilt and put it on her tender body, and said softly, Lucy, wait for me here, I'll be right back. Lucy seemed to have understood what was going on at this time. Seeing Naruto's tightly wrinkled brows and worried look, she couldn't help but nodded slightly. Go after Ursa, it doesn't matter to me. She pulled the quilt and sat back on the bed, a look of sadness flashed across her face. It seems that he still cares about Ursa the most. Naruto looked at her quietly and suddenly smiled. Lucy, don't think too much, I'll be right back. Lucy nodded, looked at Naruto's figure hurriedly leaving, and let out a faint sigh. Regardless of whether he had made a promise with Naruto, became a boyfriend or girlfriend, or had a physical relationship, Ursa still occupied a very important position in his heart, and he could never replace it. What a dreadful bastard. Just leave it alone. Damn it, damn it. The more she thought about it, the more annoyed she became, and she couldn't help sitting on the bed and muttering and scolding. At this time, Naruto had already rushed to the guild. At this time, the guild had just been built, and there were still some people working outside. Seeing Naruto's arrival, everyone greeted him friendly. Where's Ursa? Naruto asked everyone bluntly. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but look at each other in dismay, and all shook their heads, expressing that they didn't know. Really, where did this girl go? Naruto closed his eyes, released his body's perception, and carefully searched for Ursa's breath. However, Ursa's aura seemed to be hidden on purpose, she didn't want to find it at all. 738. Anger. Naruto searched the city twice, and finally sent Mokuden, wood style, to look around, but she couldn't find her in the huge city. In the evening, Naruto had not found Ursa for a long time, and was sitting in the guild waiting for her with a worried look, hoping that she would come to the guild. At this moment, a familiar breath suddenly appeared near Naruto, and the next moment, a figure walked into the guild. Naruto looked up and saw that it was Ursa. Elsa. Naruto called to her and hurried over. Everyone looked at them strangely. Miraji looked at the two of them and couldn't help frowning slightly. She always felt that something must have happened between Naruto and Ursa, otherwise Naruto wouldn't have been in such a hurry to find Alu today. Sarah. Seeing Naruto, Urza just nodded lightly, her face expressionless. Where have you been? Naruto asked. Seeing the indifferent look on her face, Naruto groaned for a while, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. It seemed that this girl was really jealous, and she still ate a lot. I'm on a mission. Unexpectedly, Urza didn't ignore him, but replied calmly as usual. A mission. Naruto was stunned, and suddenly felt that he was in a tragedy. It turned out that Urza, who had been looking for a day, was going outside to do a mission. Yeah, Urza nodded. Are you okay? If you're okay, don't get in my way. She went straight to Mirage and asked Mirage for a glass of juice. Mirage had long noticed the difference between the two, and when Urza came over, she couldn't help asking, Urza, what happened to you and Naruto? Elsa suddenly smiled slightly. It's nothing. But I think you're abnormal. Didn't you chat with Naruto long ago? Mirage asked her again. Urza ignored her, walked straight to a corner, and sat there alone. Seeing Urza like this, Mirage became even more puzzled. Naruto looked at Urza's obviously sulking appearance, and felt very helpless, but she was much better than the situation where she was going to slash herself and Lucy with a sword in the morning. He hesitated, came to Mira and asked her for a drink, intending to chat with her. But Mirage suddenly took Naruto's hand and said seriously, you and I come to the backyard. Naruto was pulled into the backyard by her. Before he could speak, Mirage approached him and asked, Naruto, did you bully Urza? Naruto smiled bitterly. I didn't. You're lying. Mirage saw through his words at once, and she was about to cry. Why did you bully Urza? Do you know how sad I am when you do this? Ooh, I like you very much. Why do you do such a forceful thing to others? The Naruto I know is not like this. Ooh. Naruto was speechless, watching Millage cover his face and weeping. He felt even more disturbed. Really, why are girls in this world so independent and strong? Can't I have a girl who can accept haremism? What a tragedy. The more you get mixed up, the more you go back. Naruto roared in his heart. Stop guessing, Mira, it's not what you think. Naruto shook his head and left the backyard. When he looked at the corner again, Naruto found that Urza was gone. Just then, there was a sudden bang outside. Then came an insolent male voice. What a bastard. Urza, how dare you allow the guild to do such a thing? The guild was actually bullied to the door. What is the use of your fairy queen? Don't you even have this deterrent effect? This voice is Laxus. Naruto was slightly startled, and quickly ran out of the guild hall and came outside. I saw a group of people watching. Urza and Lexus stood opposite each other, and Laxus scolded her. It is because of a weak guy like you that this guild will condone such rubbish characters in the guild and be looked down upon by other guilds. Even if the guild is destroyed at night, no one cares, it is so useless. Laxus yelled at her, and Urza stood there, biting Kiba and clenching her fists. Enough, Laxus. She suddenly opened her mouth and shouted, what right do you have to shout here as someone who didn't come to fight? Urza was also very upset. Seeing Naruto and Lucy together today was enough to make her depressed. Now that Laxus was so provoked, it suddenly erupted. After hearing Urza's words, Laxus couldn't help laughing. What did you say? I didn't come to the war. Ha ha ha. It's ridiculous. I didn't come to the war. If I were in the guild, this would not have happened. And you didn't participate in the war, did you? Uzumaki Naruto solved everything, right? What qualifications do you have? Huh? Urza held back her anger. The unreasonable level of Laxus was beyond comprehension. She took a deep breath, forced herself to calm down, and said coldly, even if we didn't participate in the war, you can't say everyone is rubbish. Hey, trash is trash. Urza, no matter how much you say, you can't change the fate of those trash. When I become the president, I will sweep away those trash. Laxus looked around with an angry smile. The group of guild members who were watching, most of these people are very weak, and they are the rubbish he called. At this time, they also dared to be angry and did not dare to speak. You, Laxus, don't go too far. Seeing everyone's lonely expressions, Urza's pretty face was furious with frost, and a strong aura immediately radiated from her body. Ha ha, very good, Urza, it seems that you want to fight with me. It just so happens that I also want to experience your strength. Laxus laughed. Urza bit Kiba tightly, and the expression on her face was extremely struggling. Laxus is a companion of the guild. The guild's rule is that there can be no fights between companions. If you fight against him, wouldn't you be ignoring the rules of the guild? 739. Invitation to the Magic Council. For a time, Urza was struggling in her heart. But Laxus is so arrogant, it is unbearable to look down on the guild's companions so much. At this moment, a figure flashed by and suddenly appeared in front of Laxus. Urza was startled suddenly, seeing this familiar back. The momentum on her body instantly dissipated without a trace, replaced by another anger, coquettishly rebuked. Naruto. This is my battle, who will allow it? Did you intervene? Hearing her words, Naruto gave a helpless smile in his heart, but a slight smile appeared on his face, and said, I can't stand Laxus' behavior. Of course, as a member of the guild, I have to stand up. Urza snorted coldly. Naruto stopped in front of her and looked at Laxus and said, I don't agree with what you said. The mentality of the strong cannot discriminate against the weak. No one is born strong, so please take back those words just now. Quote. Haha, Naruto, stop talking nonsense to me. Don't think it's great for you to kill the ghost of the ghost alone. My Laxus is not the Laxus of the past. I am now countless stronger than then. Times. He yelled angrily. Naruto frowned. Laxus, even if you become very strong, you can't say such things today. Everyone used to be your partner, right? If you look at people purely by strength, am I too? Can I despise you? Laxus was taken aback. Everyone around was a little moved. Naruto's words for everyone aroused everyone's approval. This is the real powerhouse. Even if the strong are a mess, they will still think of the weak and will still look at everyone with an equal eye. And Lakas, it's too extreme. Urza heard Naruto's words and sighed in her heart. This bastard's speech is always so beautiful and touching, but what happened to him and Lucy this morning was so irritating that she really wanted to be cruel. Beat him. Uzumaki Naruto, since you said so, let's fight. This time, I will definitely defeat you. A powerful aura spread out, and the surrounding air was swept up by gusts of wind. This momentum is so strong. Laxus is actually so strong. Everyone around felt this powerful momentum, and their faces couldn't help showing a look of fear. Urza was also secretly surprised that this Laxus aura was stronger than her own. It seems that he must have done a lot of hard work in order to defeat Naruto over the past few years. Naruto's expression was light, and he felt the momentum on Laxus' body. Looking at it this way, it stands tall. Laxus saw that his own powerful magic power had been released, but Naruto was still calm, so he roared very unwillingly, and then punched Naruto fiercely. Stop! At this moment, an old and majestic voice sounded behind everyone. Laxus stopped, only to see that it was President Makarov. It's you, old man. Laxus snorted coldly and stopped helplessly. However, behind Makarov, there was a group of well-dressed and special guys. The one who took the lead was a member of the Magic Council, the Frog Messenger. Laxus, get down here. Makarov snorted coldly at him. Laxus pouted, turned and left as if nothing had happened. Makarov did not punish Laxus, but walked up to Naruto and said, Naruto, I have something to tell you. Naruto couldn't help but froze for a moment, looked at the crowd, and saw the frog messenger beside Makarov, as if he had understood something. He nodded and went to another corner of the guild with Makarov and the frog messenger. Urza frowned slightly as she looked at Naruto who was leaving. At this time, Mirage, who had been driven out of the backyard, suddenly came to her side and whispered, Urza, I feel that the guys from the Magic Council are here to find Naruto. I know. Urza nodded in response. Mirage looked puzzled. Don't you care at all? Urza frowned and left. Looking at Urza's figure walking away, Mirage touched her chin and muttered, "It's really strange, Naruto, did he really do something very egregious to Urza? What can I do?" Quote. At this time, Naruto followed Makarov and the frog messenger and they stopped in an uninhabited corner. "President, what's the matter?" Naruto asked. Makarov glanced at the frog messenger slightly, and said to him, "It's not that I am looking for you, it is the people in the council who are looking for you. Let's talk." After saying that, he walked away from here, leaving Naruto to face the frog messenger and the many knights he brought with him. "Frog messenger, what's the matter with you?" Naruto didn't feel very good about the Magic Council. There was a conflict last time, and this time they came to him again, which must not be a good thing. However, the frog messenger looked at him indifferently and said, "Uzumaki Naruto, the Magic Council has invited you to visit the headquarters." "Why?" Naruto asked back, feeling a little strange in his heart. What did those guys invite him to do for no reason? I don't seem to be dealing with them very much. I don't know the specifics. I'm just here to pass a message. It's up to you whether you go or not, but if you don't go, I think President Makarov will be very troubled. After all, the Magic Council's those who have already seen Fairy Tail are very upset. The frog messenger laughed. Is this a threat? Naruto frowned, and an AWE-inspiring aura was released from his body. The frog messenger and others were forced to take a step back by this aura, and a cold sweat broke out on their heads. "Okay, I'll go with you." Naruto looked at them and nodded suddenly with a smile. "Call." The frog messenger sighed secretly. This guy finally agreed. The momentum just now was really frightening. The upper-level members of the Magic Council only knew how to hand over such a difficult task to themselves, but did not know the terrifying power of Uzumaki Naruto, how dangerous it will be, but you may die at any time. That's great. Then please go on the road with us now. The frog messenger suddenly laughed, and the frog's face was uglier than crying. Not long after Naruto left, the news that he was taken away by the members of the Magic Council immediately spread throughout the entire guild. At this time, Lucy, who had been waiting for Naruto at home for a long time without seeing him, finally came to the guild to find him. Seeing that everyone's atmosphere was a little weird, I couldn't help but ask Ribi. Lebi glanced at her with a look of doubt on her face. "Xiaolu, you seem to be even more beautiful." Lucy's face turned Yuhi, and she said angrily, "Oh, I'm asking you why Naruto was taken away by the Magic Council." "Hey, we are also very confused about this matter. Naruto has provoked those guys before, and our Fairy Tail Guild is often in trouble. They will definitely be upset with us." Lebi was very worried, but she still smiled optimistically. "But it doesn't matter, Naruto is the strongest mage in our guild. He will be fine." 740. Follow. Just when everyone in the guild was worried about Naruto, Urza took the salute and walked out. Everyone was taken aback when they saw Urza like this. "Urza, where are you going?" Lucy ran after her and asked. At this time, she had no time to care about the morning. After all, Naruto's comfort is the most important thing now. Elsa looked back and saw that it was Lucy coming over. She seemed to be concerned. Her eyes flashed unnaturally, but she immediately said firmly, "I'm going to the Magic Council." Lucy was taken aback for a moment. Looking at the serious look on her face, she also responded, "I want to go with you." Urza watched her silently for a while, and finally nodded, "Okay then." "That's great, Urza." Lucy jumped up happily. The two hit the road together, chasing the team that Naruto and the others left in front of him. Along the way, Urza was very silent, and Lucy didn't know what to say for a while. Now both of them are thinking about the incident in the morning. "Elsa." In the end, it was Lucy who said softly, "Am I bothering you?" Elsa looked slightly startled, and she shook her head. "No, it's just that I'm troubled." I know you've always liked Naruto. I've seen this since I came to the guild, and everyone thinks so, but today, I let you see such a thing. I'm sorry. Lucy apologized to her. Urza looked at her silently, sighing inwardly. That scene in the morning, for her, broke her usual beautiful fantasy. She thought that she and Naruto were the best childhood sweethearts, and they would definitely live happily together in the future, but it was all in this one. Things turned into nothing. She is so angry, but she knew that she couldn't be angry, because there was nothing she could do about it. Emotional matters were consensual, and there was no right or wrong in love, and it was in no particular order. Naruto and Lucy walked together, which can only prove that Lucy is more attractive than himself, and Naruto chose Lucy. Although, Urza is very unwilling to come to such a conclusion. As a fairy queen, what is worse than Lucy? However, things have happened, and the relationship between Naruto and Lucy is better than that with herself. She has clearly seen this point. She can't change or resent. All she can do is to follow her own heart. Therefore, she chose to go to the Magic Council, and chose to undertake the interrogation of those guys with Naruto. As long as she can help Naruto, she has no regrets. She thought of this before Lucy. Elsa, I think, Naruto likes you very much. Lucy looked at her silent for a long time, and suddenly said. Urza heard the words, but frowned slightly. It's not important anymore, all I can do is follow his wishes. In fact, after Urza left in anger in the morning, she had already thought very clearly on the way to the task, and she deeply liked Naruto, which could not be changed whether he liked him or not. So, even if Naruto likes Lucy a little more now, Elsa feels that she shouldn't add too much trouble to him. If you like someone, you must make them happy and make them feel less pressure. Jealousy or something should not happen to you. Urza made a decision. If Naruto really wants to be with Lucy, then she will bless them. If you like him, you must make him happy. This is the self-consciousness of a woman. At this time, the sky was almost dusk, the sun was slowly going down, and Naruto and the others finally came to the headquarters of the Magic Council. It's a gorgeous and majestic building, and the whole building is full of stylish magic. This is the high-level location of the entire magic world. In a sense, the order of the magic world, if not maintained by the high-level people here, would have been in chaos by now. The frog messenger sent Naruto to the gate and left. Because at this time there was a figure standing at the gate, looking at him with a smile. When he saw this figure, Naruto couldn't help but stunned for a moment, and then he exclaimed, Gerald. That's right, it's Gerald who is standing in front of Naruto. Short blue hair, a strange rune near the right eye frame, and a gentle smile on his face. Isn't this guy the Gerald who was killed by himself? He's actually in the Magic Council. What the hell is going on here? Naruto had never been to the Magic Council before, and he had never met these high-level officials. Although he had heard of it, he did not know any of it. Seeing such a strange scene at this time, his heart was filled with doubts. Uzumaki Naruto, you are mistaken, I'm not Gerard, I'm Chicrane. Gerard is my younger brother. He smiled faintly. I know that in that incident, you killed me brother, right? Naruto frowned slightly. Is this guy really Gerald's brother? If he said that, wouldn't he seek revenge on himself? It's no wonder that the Magic Council is looking for trouble for itself. It turns out that there is still a brother of Gerald hidden here. This time it's troublesome. This guy probably won't let him go so easily, right? Yes, Gerald fell into the devil's way. I killed it. Naruto nodded, admitted generously, and then pouted. You came to me to make a break with me. However, the scene where Naruto expected his elder brother to be furious for revenge for his younger brother did not appear. Instead, Chiclane came to him with a smile on his face, stretched out his hand in an inviting gesture, and said with a gentle smile, You don't have to worry, I have already figured out this matter, thank you for letting my brother free, and now we have other important things to ask you to come. Hearing these words, Naruto was stunned. This guy is not revenge, so open-minded. This guy is definitely not easy. Naruto couldn't help but have some doubts in his heart. After all, Even if his brother made a mistake, he would definitely show hatred towards the murderer, right? Is this Zekalain really as sensible as he seems?